Not working. Yeah.
All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Phenomenon podcast where we'll be discussing aliens. This is going to be part 2. So, as of right now, we are in the process of switching over to Podbean Live. All right, so right now Aaron is trying to get his account set up so that way he will be over there. Uh in the meantime, however, we are live on Twitch. So
Right.
So yeah, we are live on Twitch right now as well. So if you want to come over there and join us over there,
Oh, I'm
Aaron
gone.
is in there on the Discord.
I'm airing myself on Twitch.
Yeah, so yeah, it's because you're through on Discord. So he is live on Twitch, but he's not live over here on Podbean yet. He's working on doing that. Um, so this
Yeah.
is going to be a little bit of a process for us. Just bear with it as we work on moving our resources over here to Podbean. Again, we do post every one of our videos onto
To
YouTube,
YouTube.
and that happens directly after we are done with our podcast. We have a whole archive of all of our episodes over there.
Right.
So with that being said, you can come over here, join us on Twitch. You can join us on our Discord. Uh, Bear with me as I get everything on Podbean set up.
Oh, I'm gone.
Looks like Aaron's
Give me a
joining in.
moment.
There he is. He's connecting.
Right. The question is, am I still coming through? I've just turned the media down on my phone, so it's obviously not coming through my headset. I mean, not my microphone and PC.
Yeah, I'm hearing you double now.
You're hearing me double now. Let me have a look. Let me have a look. Let me mute myself on Discord. Am I coming through?
You're coming through on.
Yeah, I'm coming through on that.
You're coming through on Twitch.
That's not through Discord.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm coming through on Twitch. Let me. Wait, yeah, I am. I am coming through on Twitch.
Okay, you're coming through on Twitch. You're coming through on Podbean. Cool. All right.
Right.
So, welcome, Aaron. Finally got you on here.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about, because my phone is screwed, it's an old 2014 phone, my charger's currently knackered on it, means I have to have the wire in a very particular position just for it to even charge in the first place.
Right,
I'm
right.
worried about, obviously, my phone dying mid-podcast.
So, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully everything works out and we got this. We're gonna be good. Um,
Yeah.
as you guys can see by today's topic today, we're going to be doing aliens. This is part 2. If you want to watch part 1, we have it on YouTube. However, our audio is screwed up on the first episode of Aliens. Just bear with that if you want to listen to it. It's our
Right.
very first episode that we did. And we were working on a lot of things at the time to try and get everything fixed, and then we kind of have it to where we need it now.
Right.
So with that being said, yeah, so now we're on Discord. So if you want to come join our Discord, the link's on Twitch and on YouTube. You can join us on YouTube, search at Phenomenon Um, we have all of our episodes on there. And now we're switching over here to Podbean where we're going to be broadcasting live to a lot more sources.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting new adjustment and fix of things. I'm probably gonna have to get me a new charger for my phone or something.
You know, I feel
Maybe
like
that might help.
we kind of just jumped from like 0 to 100 on this.
Yeah, pretty much. Just
um,
dived into the deep end.
right. Well, I've been saying, that I want to switch over to an actual platform other than just, Twitch, because we just been done live on Twitch for so long, and now we're actually over onto an actual podcast platform,
Yeah.
and it's going to be able to get broadcasted out here shortly after this first episode here on Podbean to, Spotify and Apple and Google. So wherever you want to get your podcast, we're going to be on there now.
Yeah.
iHeart even. So that, it's just going to be a way for us to get our name out. Um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, with that, we for everybody that's going to be new coming to our channel, Uh, just so you know, we do take breaks at the top of the hour. We'll adjust with that as we switch over to doing radio and stuff like that. Um,
Oh yeah.
but we are going to be going on break here probably around 5:50 until 6, and then again at 6:50 to 7, and then we will not be going on break until 8. That's when we'll
Right.
end the episode here. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's jump right into this here. So our last episode, we kind of just went off the rails. We didn't really know what to talk about. We've kind of evolved since then. Now we're up to like, oh geez, I don't even know.
We're a lot better at staying on topic more and
Yeah, I think this is our 16th episode now. So I mean, we've got a little bit more
experience. Yeah.
experience. Yeah, you're coming through a little muffled again.
That's the problem. Like I said, it's my phone mic is screwed.
It's all right.
Um.
That's all right. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, we're on our like 16th episode at this point, 15th, 16th episode at this point, so we're a little bit more experienced than what we were. We're still not perfect.
Right.
Uh, but we're getting into the swing of it. So in our last
Hmm.
episode for aliens, though, when we talked about that the first time, we kind of talked about more about the moon and our aliens on the moon, and then we kind of went into an actual moon topic, and then we went to an oceans topic and such. So we
Right.
kind of just kind of yeah, we kind of delved in from there. So yeah, we went from the aliens to the oceans. So we kind of went off of that for a little bit. Went to pyramids and civilizations into secrets of the moon. Again, all this stuff's on YouTube if you want to go back and watch. I
Yeah.
promise you that the audio gets better as you go through the list and watch the newer episodes.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
but yeah,
Can
so
confirm my phone is losing power. Very slowly along
okay.
the way.
Well, hey, if you have to go off of Podbean, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just, have you on Twitch. People can come over there.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of confusing on Podbean for them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not really much I could do about it. Cause I got an old phone. I used to get a new one, but I can't afford it, so it's just one of those.
I gotcha. You know what I'll do is, we'll go ahead and end it on Podbean here. We'll stick on to Twitch,
Right.
and I'll see if I can't upload the video later for you guys here on Podbean.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's do that.
Right.
All
Let's
right. If you
do
want to switch back over to Discord.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna stick to that.
Right.
I'm gonna delete this recording here off the Podbean here. All right, cool. So we're just gonna
Yeah.
stick with Discord instead of Twitch. All right. We'll just do that for today.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but it's all right. Um, until we can figure out this a lot more easier.
Yeah, I think honestly, I just need a new charger because the wire on it is kind of like knackered. So if it's not in a certain position, it doesn't charge, and it's not charging efficiently because obviously they're breaking the wire. So I need a new charger. and that should fix it.
Right.
Hopefully. If I'm gonna have to get a new phone, it's fucking out for one. I'll have to look into finance or something.
Right.
Pay weekly or something. Not weekly, monthly or something for it. I don't know, something along those lines.
Right. 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 All right. So yeah, we could kind of just jump into the topic then.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be able to get uploaded to Podbean. I'm trying to upload this video that's already recording now, and it's just not doing it. All
Right.
types of support. All
Oof.
right, we're gonna have to work on that. We'll figure it out. We'll work on it. We'll get it working eventually.
Yeah.
We have a
It's
whole week to
alright.
do that. If we don't get it by next week, then we'll do it the week after.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder if it's something but the settings in here. Let's see. I'm sorry for everybody listening right now. This was not how this episode's supposed to go.
Yep.
That
Well,
switched over,
technical
but
difficulties, yeah, they hit you.
yep, yep. All right, so I'm gonna stop screwing around with the settings. We're gonna get into the show. You guys came here to listen about aliens. We're gonna talk about aliens. So again, we talked about the possibility of aliens. We said, I think you were a pretty firm believer that yeah, they exist, period. End of story kind of thing. I was like,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think they visited here and you disagreed with that.
Yeah, I think they've definitely visited us before.
See, my whole theory behind that is that the universe is just so vast. And why would they come to such a minuscule planet? If they were able to travel the cosmos, we're nothing for them. and
Right,
and
but
and it's
we
not
could
like our
be.
it's not like our resources are special or valuable to us here, other than, well, as far as we know, we're the only planet with wood. But I mean, beyond that, though, I mean, you can get the same resources anywhere else in the galaxy.
As far as we know, we've never actually been to many of these planets and actually tested that for ourselves. It could be a different mineral, or have to be worked a different way. We don't. See, we kind of go off
Well,
this whole tangent that, oh yeah, things are definitely the same on all these other planets, but there could be resources on some planets which just you can't get in other places.
I mean, so the whole reason the thing that is we do know because the periodic table exists and we know about the elements. I mean, there might be other elements out there that we don't know about. But as far as like the elements that we know that they're carried out throughout the galaxy, like galaxy wide. Because
Right.
that's how our planet came to be. We came to be informed from all these different elements.
I mean, we do have star. We do have a star in our system,
Hmm.
which could also be used as a power source,
Yeah, I mean we
theoretically as well.
yeah we found helium-3 and was it the basalts? I don't know how you pronounce that, but we found that on the moon, and I mean we have
Right.
that here on Earth as well.
I mean,
So
I like to think of it how we kind of look at animals at the end of the day, because we research all these different animals on our planet. People are obsessed with ants. Like ants compared to us, they're significant, right? We can make big buildings and we have all this crazy technology. Ants don't have all that kind of stuff, but we still research them. So, in the same vein of that, I feel like to us, they might be researching us in a way, seeing what we've accomplished, how far we've come, how long it's taken us. We could be a research project to them to a degree. Many people have supposedly been abducted and, supposedly mated with some of these aliens for possible DNA sequences, maybe resistances, different genetics. We're into gene splicing here on the planet. There's been a lot of looking into it. We've been able to clone things. They might look for something in our race or something here on this planet for potentially helping them conquer a weakness of theirs, because they'll be vastly
yeah,
superior in terms of being able to do stuff like that, manipulating DNA and all that. We could hold something in our DNA genome that they might want.
I would argue that
Um,
they wouldn't be doing that just because of how resource extensive that would be to have to travel across the stars just to study us.
well, if they have the technology, that to them it might
Yeah.
not be as
I
resource
mean,
intensive.
why would you send like I'm just saying, like, even as a human civilization, like if we had that capability, we wouldn't be sending people to go abduct whatever beings on a planet. We'd be sending
Oh, well,
drones
I don't know
or
about that.
yeah, we'd be sending drones and autonomous AI. I mean, we already do that. We do that on Mars, we do that on the moon, we've done it sending satellites out. Um, it's just it's too expensive. It's too dangerous to send people out there to go do all that stuff.
I mean, it could be dangerous, or to them, it might not be.
All right.
We so see, we don't know exactly what they are capable of, right? The things that we've probably encountered in terms of alien species could be potentially just a lesser form, maybe lesser technology, with just enough to get them to do the tasks that they need, but obviously wouldn't be the most high end. So
Right.
we don't know what they have, right?
Yeah,
Is
I
what I'm
think
getting at.
I think of it as a from a human point of view, though. I mean, because that's all I can do.
And that's our
Yeah,
weakness, though, isn't it?
yeah,
We always look at things from a
yeah. I mean,
human point of
that's
view.
all I can think about is from a human point of view and thinking, okay, well, if I was some interstellar species that could travel to stars, would it make sense to send our people out there to abduct others and study them, or just send autonomous AI or robots or whatever they might have to do that kind of stuff? Which would make more sense in my opinion. Because
Possibly,
it's
but
just it's less expensive and it's less dangerous to do that.
possibly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely would be less dangerous, but we can't comprehend what might be going through their minds.
Right.
These beings may have a completely different purpose that we can't even comprehend when it comes to looking into us. Because there's many beliefs that aliens have influenced our history. Supposedly many old races of ours. The Aztecs supposedly had intervention. Egyptians apparently had intervention. Supposedly, uh, that aliens influenced early civilization, gave us these technologies, helped us out. They could just be looking for a return on investment, even, or goodness knows what other purpose they could have. Because if aliens did have an influence on our early lives, back when we were more primitive, goodness knows what kind of influence they might want to have a look into on what we can possibly do today. Maybe our nuclear weapons that we've developed might to them be seen as a dangerous tool. Maybe they're not too big of a fond of how war crazy we are, because as we know throughout history, we've always gone to war over whether it's stupid things like resources or he insulted me, so let's go wipe him out. All these stupid, ridiculous reasons for a lot of these wars that have happened and stuff throughout history. Um, to them, they might see nuclear weapons and stuff like as something that we shouldn't really be tangling with.
Mm.
Maybe it's they want to establish a presence and be like, yeah, you've got that, but we're here. Careful what you do. You know, could
Right.
be a show of force, even as sort of like a warning to those in charge. That yes, you have this dangerous technology that you possess, but we're here. Think about what we could do.
So I would I'm still under the belief that they're not here, the beings. Now, as far as their technology, I definitely think alien technology is here on Earth. Um,
Right.
and the reason why I say that is because right around the like 60s and 70s, right? Ever since after the Roswell crash, which I believe was in the 50s, um, we started just developing all these crazy technologies like at a rapid pace,
Right.
specifically for military technologies. I mean, the internet was created through the U.S. military.
Right.
Um, if you don't know, that's what the dark web is. That's the first internet, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what the U.S. Army created,
Yeah.
or U.S. military, not Army, but U.S. military created. And that's the dark web.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so they developed that. They developed stealth technologies, guidance technologies, smart bombs, all this like insane stuff, like HUDs, the heads-up displays, right, on your
Yeah,
visors and stuff. They developed
like
all these things just out of the blue.
technology boom
Right.
essentially is what we essentially had. But then I'm going to harken back to that point you made earlier. That they're not here. It'd be too dangerous to send them here. Why would they send somebody then?
Like I said, I don't think they
For us to be
sent
able to
somebody. I don't think they
these
ever recovered bodies. I think they recovered technology, like a drone or something.
right. But that's what I'm saying. If they've been here, what's to stop them from coming back?
Oh, I don't think they wouldn't say not come back, but they're not sending bodies.
Right.
I think that would just be far too dangerous to send body after body after body after body for what? I mean,
No, I don't
if
think.
yeah, if we lost like two pilots out in space, right? Like to go, like say we found another civilization, we send two people out there to go make contact with them, and they crash landed and died. That would be it. Done. Like we wouldn't be sending bodies out there for decades upon decades upon decades. We'd be making sure that we had technology and everything was safe and good to go before we ever sent another person out there.
Right.
Not to say we still wouldn't send things out that way, we just wouldn't be sending people.
I mean, assuming these beings can reproduce like we can. Say humans supposedly, because many people have told stories that supposedly they mated with an alien. Whether you believe them or not, but let's say they can reproduce and whatnot. If they've been around long enough to be able to develop all this technology, who knows what numbers they could have?
Right,
How
right.
many beings could potentially exist?
Yeah, and
They could
that's
have a surplus, and they could be
right,
looking for other planets to potentially colonize, influence in the future,
right.
make their home.
And
They could see us as a workforce in the
the
future.
only reason why I have my point of view is because I have the very narrow view of thinking as human, right?
Right,
I don't want to, because I could sit here and speculate all day, and that's all it would be a speculation.
right,
I'm not saying I deny the existence of aliens. I'm just saying like anything beyond saying pretty much what I'm saying right now, I think it's just speculation. I mean, and that's just a what if game, and you could play the what if game all day long. So
right.
yeah, it's just it doesn't make sense to me to be able to I mean, and we don't know anything about the complexities of their societies or what kind of beings they are, how they reproduce, how they eat, how they travel. We don't know anything.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone on the planet knows about this stuff, but we don't, the average people.
right,
So for us, it's just for my understanding of it, I think a lot of these stories that I hear from other people are hoaxes. I'm not trying to say you're lying. If you say you've seen an alien or you've seen a UFO, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying I think a lot of these stories out there are hoaxes. Um, I don't believe. I'd say 99% of the stories I read, um, there's just not enough concrete proof evidence out there to suggest that most of these stories are true. There's enough
right.
evidence to say that yeah, they've most likely sent something here and that they've definitely visited at some point, but I don't think there's no evidence suggesting that they're still here on the planet.
I mean, see, supposedly, so if you want to go with the Hollow Earth theory, people who believe that there is a Hollow Earth, there's a place in the Earth you can go to. There's been many World War II pilots that have said that supposedly they have essentially entered these places. There's been many stories throughout history, supposedly, many pilots have encountered crafts and things. They could be hiding in plain sight with us. They might not be
I mean,
sending
yeah,
people out there. They
they
could actually be here already.
again, they very well could be, but it's all speculation. And that's how I see that as.
Right.
It's that what if
Uh,
game. What if it's true? What if it's that? What if it's whatever? if people do that, I mean, kudos. I don't play that kind of game. I don't play what ifs. I deal with facts. I deal with evidence. And I guess that just comes from my profession that I had when I was in the military.
Right.
Um, and as far as Hollow Earth, I mean, we could talk about that for a topic too sometime. We did the
Yeah,
flat
definitely.
Earth, but we could do Hollow Earth. I'll touch on it real quick though. Just some thoughts about it.
Right.
I think that there's sections of the Earth that are hollow. They're called caves.
Okay.
Um, there's land caves and there's underwater caves. Um, but I don't think the entire planet's hollowed out underneath. I mean, if that was the case, the gravity would just be so out of whack. I mean, that
Right.
there'd be nothing to stop the core from just leaking out.
I mean, maybe the Hollow Earth doesn't go as hollow in as like to the core
Right.
necessarily. Um,
I mean, yeah,
but
we have real deep caves. So,
supposedly the was one that the government actually tried to close up and hide from us. To prevent people from being able to enter it, supposedly in one of the polls. No, I've not got the information up with me currently, but supposedly one of these places that supposedly was a passageway actually got closed out by the government
hmm,
to prevent people from accessing it. What that purpose would be, I'm not too sure. I mean, some people believe that aliens exist in the Bermuda, potentially.
yeah.
That's why a lot of crafts just magically go
So,
missing along with these people, but
so
I'm not too.
I do have a topic that we could talk about before we that we could take it probably to the break. Um, so
Right,
there's been recent theories that I've been seeing. I don't think they're recent, but there's recent as far as me seeing them. About
right,
like the Fae and the occult being aliens as well.
right, yeah.
Um, and then the story goes is that supposedly it originated from Ireland or something. Basically the humans and these Fae and occult were at war with each other, fighting, and some sort of being god or something or whatever it was came down and was like, okay, well, I'm gonna give a cloak to the Fae, and they're gonna be able to hide in plain sight. Basically like an
Right,
invisibility cloak for them, so they're beyond a veil that we can't see. But sometimes I
right.
guess they supposedly peek through and we can see them.
Hmm. Interesting. I've not
Yeah,
really heard about this one. I
yeah,
know many people speculate Jesus being an alien, potentially.
yeah. I got my own personal beliefs about that, and I won't talk about that on the show. But um,
Right,
I don't want to jump into religious stuff. But yeah, I know we've dabbled in
yeah,
it a little bit on the show, but to preserve everybody's religious beliefs, I'm not gonna touch up on it.
right, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. In Fae, we took like fairies and those kinds of beings.
Right, like
I'm assuming.
yeah, fairies, just different occult creatures like the humanoid with like antler, like a elk head kind of guy, that kind of stuff. All those beings, there's good
Right,
fae,
yeah,
there's evil fae.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, they say that that these are like some people believe that those are aliens and that they're able to cloak themselves.
right.
Um,
This, and that'd take some pretty good technology. I mean, I know there is a Japanese company that currently has a semi cloak kind of like
hmm,
clothing that can kind of like it's almost transparent in a way, but it's not trans. I don't know is that thing behind it, but supposedly, when the creator of this technology was wearing it, you could see the car that was behind him
hmm,
being reflected off it. It works with light particles. Now, it's not full on being able to see through him, but supposedly had a way of capturing the light, which is very interesting to see. So I guess that could feasibly be possible for
So,
someone to have an advanced technology cloak
yeah,
that could potentially hide them.
right. So, I'm gonna talk, yeah, about the faith thing is so weird though. I don't know if I necessarily believe those theories. There's some people that are just
Right.
adamant about it and that that's the truth. Um, the thing about the Fae is that a lot of these creatures and the Fae and the occult come from folklore, right?
Right.
And not just folklore, but a lot of it is they come from stories that parents would tell kids to scare the kids. And you probably think like, oh, why would you want to scare your kids? Well, I mean, if your kid's misbehaving, what do you do? Do you, today you can send them to their room, you can, you know, put them in a
Yeah.
corner, that kind of stuff. Well, back then they would tell them stories, these horrible, horrible, evil stories, like, hey, if you don't stop behaving, this creature's gonna come out and eat you or take you away in the woods, and it also keep them in check, like kids are adventurous, I'm gonna run out in the woods. Well, hey,
Yeah.
there's a creature out there in the woods that eats little kids. Don't run out there. And then boom, you got a
Right.
folklore
Yeah.
story about this fey creature that's out in the woods that eats kids, and it spreads.
See, that's kind of my thing when it comes to a lot of these old stories and whatnot. With a lot of this folklore. I find it weird that we had so much folklore in the past of these supposed beings and whatnot, but you don't really see any of that folklore today. Like in
Right.
terms of like modern things that people are seeing everywhere, and with the world being more ever connected than it ever has been before through technology, internet, people like dash cams on cars and all, you think we'd be seeing a lot of these beings, quote unquote, from a lot of these folklores if they actually existed. So I'm kind of more leaning also towards the fact of possibly stories to scare children, get them to behave and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, kind of like I don't know if you remember gruesome tales for kids or whatnot
Yeah.
was on TV when we were younger.
Well,
But it was kind of like that kind of stuff. It's
I
oh, you misbehave, this could
yeah,
happen to you.
and I'm
You
not
know,
trying to
it's
discredit these people because like I could see the connections that they're trying to draw between Fae and Alien. The fact
right.
that they look different than us, they're not human, they're not like any other animals on the planet. They're able to just cloak themselves and appear at will, just like these aliens are with their ships, apparently. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just, I get the theory behind it. And then a lot of these creatures that are folklore, you know, um, okay, so a lot of this fae comes from like Nordic, right? Nordic peoples, right?
Yeah.
Like Norway, Denmark, even Sweden. Um, I know the Finns don't really consider themselves Nordic, but the Finns, um, even England and Ireland, a lot of the
Yeah.
folklore stuff of the Fae come from those areas, right? Well,
Right.
their description of some of these Faes are also the descriptions of what the Egyptians put in their tombs. If you
Interesting.
yeah, you can match up some of these beings as well. And it's funny that that would be the case because the ancient Egyptians, as far as we know at least, have never been up that way ever. Um
Yeah.
in the ancient history. Um
Right.
I mean there would be no practical use for ancient Egyptians to go, up to the Nordic countries or Nordic territories.
Yeah.
They're more
Yeah.
concerned
I
with
mean,
what was in their backyard.
kind of like dragons. And all dragons aren't really aliens, so to speak. But we have lots of different stories about dragons from different places around the
Right.
world with different views and thoughts on them. And it's kind of crazy that so many of these different people, wherever they are, have had different sightings of these so-called beings despite never interacting.
Right.
And I feel like that does add some kind of credence to what some of these people are saying, because like, how have you got somewhere that's like all the way across the world that never interacts with these people having a very similar creature, which is pretty much the same kind of description and look and appearance.
Right.
Um, as far beyond just the human mind making stuff up, kind of thing, you know?
Right. Right. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want to discredit these theories, but at the same time, I find it very outlandish that that's the facts. You know,
Yeah,
for aliens, I definitely would say it's outer space beings. It's if anything, or I don't see it as another life that already grew up here with us. Um, Humans have, for the most part, at this point, dominated the entire planet at this point. And I think if there's something here on the planet with us that's as intelligent or more intelligent than us, we'd know about it at this point.
hmm,
And now whether or not the governments know about it and they're not telling us, who knows? But I definitely think just in the age of cameras and cell phones and YouTube and all that stuff, we'd see some more stuff and more hard evidence on us.
right. I mean, it's like, I mean, I do find it interesting that the government are discussing aliens now. You know, it's kind of been
Yeah.
like a bit of a topic they've been talking about, where they're talking about releasing information to us, giving us limited information. They're talking about it. I mean, it was, I think it was sometime after we actually did the episode. I remember on TV, I
Mhm.
was going downstairs and there was actually a discussion going on about aliens, like actually, you know, with people from the government actually talking about it. And I do find it really strange because it's like, well, if you're admitting that they're here, why are you hiding so much from us?
Right.
Like,
Well,
why we got
I
privy to only
I
part of the
started looking
information?
into more about this too since our last episode on this, and I've noticed a pattern with the government about
Right,
aliens, and they only bring up the topic of aliens when a bigger conspiracy is being uncovered. It's
right.
like a deflection, and I've noticed this. I started looking out through history, and every time there's some big conspiracy that's going on, and things are starting to come to light and actually be true about these conspiracies, the government's like, aliens are real. Look at this,
Hmm,
and then everybody starts freaking out about aliens again. And then,
right.
3, 4 weeks later, no one remembers what was going on with the government. I think it's more or less the government is trying to distract us from what they're actually doing.
I mean, the government is trying to do that all the time.
Yeah, and I think
Not
it
really.
literally comes down to that, is that they're just trying to deflect,
Yeah,
more so than say, oh yeah, aliens are real. Yeah, of course. I think we all know that they're
right.
real, and that
Yeah,
also kind of makes me also believe that they're not actually here. It's just because the government keeps deflecting us from other things that they're doing.
right.
Uh,
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they are here. Personally, I don't think they're in massive numbers or
yeah,
anything like that. I don't think they've got like 50 spaceships flying around the planet at all times. You know, I think there may be a few crafts potentially
yeah,
that are here. I believe the government has had actual conversations with them. I feel like. Uh, um, remember that chart that we brought up last time when we were discussing it and whatnot? There's been a lot around the capitals.
right,
Um, of a lot of cities where a lot of the power is. There's been a lot more sightings around those areas. So I believe the government has actually had conversations um, with potential extraterrestrial beings, but I don't think they're here in big numbers. I think they're very small and minute in what they do have. I don't think they're here for war reasons or anything of that sort. Um, I think it's mainly that the locking in,
yeah.
seeing what we're up to.
If they
Uh,
are here, I think it's literally for one reason. It would be for my opinion resources. And
Yeah.
if they are here right now, they're scouts. They're scouting us
Right.
out and seeing our capabilities. And we also found out that these through the same chart that they also hang out around nuclear sites where we have nuclear
Yeah.
weapons stored around the world. They typically
Hmm.
hang. There's a lot of spottings around there as well, and I think that's because if they are here and those are actual aliens that are hovering around these things. I think they're scared of them.
Right.
You know that, or they're trying to see what the capabilities of those things are. You know of what the nukes are. So again, if they're here, I think they're scouts. Again, this is coming from a human point of view, but every time a superior power comes to a lesser power, that superior power wipes out the population of them and takes over. And that's just been consistent throughout our history. And as far as we know, that's just natural law.
Right.
Um, because I mean, literally, I think it was James Cameron that wrote Avatar, right? It's the same thing, you know.
I think
He,
so.
he portrayed a very realistic view of what would happen if we found life on another planet and what we would be there for. You find out in the first movie that we're there to get resources from that planet and that we sent the military and scientists there first. That's exactly what would happen at first if we even made it that far to that point, you know, to where we could send people. That's how it would like how it played out is how it would be actually. Like we tried to be peaceful with the natives, we tried to work with them. They didn't want to work with us because of XYZ. Wipe them out.
Right.
And that's exactly how humans react, and I don't see why any other civilization would act differently.
Right.
Right. So if that's what terrifies me. If aliens are truly here on this planet right now with us, we should all be grabbing our guns and being terrified, I think.
Yeah. I don't
Because
know.
I really don't think that they would be here for peaceful means. Um, but I'm also not encouraging people to go out and just shoot them either. Because, maybe I'm wrong, I'm just some guy on the internet.
Right. I mean,
So,
I think they aren't here on hostile means because if they were, I doubt it'd just be necessarily a small number. I feel like if they were planning to go to, I know we don't really have much to attack them from outer space, but I'm pretty sure that if they were here for war purposes and stuff along those lines, I feel like there'd be a lot more. Um,
so
there'd be a lot more number if they were here for violent purposes.
I'll be back. My smoke detector's going off.
Oh, damn. I mean,
Okay, and I'm back now.
see,
So well, I see it as just strictly that they would be here for war purposes, and if they're not attacking us yet, right? I look at this from history, right? From the time that the Europeans made contact in the New World, right? It was decades to hundreds of years before they were finally establishing their rule over here in the New World, right? And that's back from the 1400s to like the 1600s, right? That all
hmm,
that was going on, and all these plantations and wiping out the natives and working with natives and all this other kind of stuff to establish their rule here, right? Now that was just across the ocean. Think about the galaxy and how massive that is. Right?
right,
It's unfathomable to us to think about how large it is out there and how long it would actually take. I mean, if we just say Roswell was the first time that these aliens possibly visited us, right? I think it was probably way before that, but say it was 1950s, right? We're only in 2023. right? We're still in that infancy phase of them testing us out and looking at us, right? But
Right.
okay, let's say it's even further back, 2000 BC, around with the Egyptians and stuff, right? The ancient Egyptians. We're still in that infancy phase on the galactic scale of that,
Oh yeah, definitely.
of them scouting us out and learning about us, right?
Yeah.
So if they're still trying to colonize, like I'm just saying, like thinking from a human point of view, if they had the same characteristics as far as like our thought process for that kind of stuff with colonization, right? They're still sending that
Mm.
one little boat out there every single time, like testing us out, seeing what we were capable of. How have we changed? What new weaponry do we have? What new farming? What new whatever? They see everything we have that's new every single time they come out, and they make reports about that and they send that back. And they do that
Right.
constantly, constantly, constantly until they're like until they feel confident, okay, yeah, we can take them out now. They're not going to. You know,
Right.
I mean, the Spanish sent multiple expeditions over here to the New World before they even decided to start making colonies here.
Right.
So I don't see that as any different with the aliens. They're testing the waters and I think they're testing waters and seeing how we're developing as a society before they finally come in and be like, okay, we're taking over. It's our planet now.
Mm.
And I think they're also so when you're trying to colonize a new place as well, you got to think too. You don't want to destroy the resources, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not about the people, it's not about the infrastructure, it's about the resources there, right?
Yeah.
Um, so if an example of that for human side, right, is look at the Gulf War, right? Now, were we there to protect Kuwait? Were we there to get oil? Debate is yours. I'm not going to get into that, right? But what did the Iraqis do when we invaded Iraq, right? After we took back Kuwait, we started moving into Iraq. The first thing that the Iraqis did was set fire to all their oil fields,
Right.
right? And they did that with the purpose of if we're going to lose, you're not getting our resources.
Right.
So, because it's simple colonization. Country comes into your nation, they want your resources, so they set fire to the oil fields. One, it also slowed down our armed forces as well because now they're having to travel through that thick smog of smoke from all the oil, but it burns out the resources, so it makes it less incentivized for us to go in there and take it. Um,
Right.
but if humanity was to survive an attack of that scale, I would say start destroying our resources, and it's gonna suck for us afterwards because our resources would be gone. But
Right.
another example of that is Napoleon when he invaded Russia, right? As the Russians retreated back to Moscow, excuse me, I just but when Napoleon invaded Russia, the Russians were retreating and they were burning all the farms because they knew the French lived off the land as they marched. So by the time they hit Moscow, their logistics were stretched so thin and they had no way to get food. And the Russians knew this and they just waited. They let them take Moscow. And then when Napoleon was like, "Okay, we need food, time to turn around and get with our supplies," that's when the Russians counterattacked. And that's why Napoleon lost. It wasn't because of the winter. It was just he didn't have supplies because
Yeah.
the Russians did scorched earth and destroyed the resources. We could do the same thing for the aliens if they tried to attack us. Destroy our resources, make it less incentivized for them to want to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's gonna suck because people die when you destroy the resources.
Yeah. Definitely.
But it's scorched earth. That's what it is. You scorch the earth literally. You burn it to the ground. You burn all the resources to
Mm.
the ground, and then disincentivizes whatever power that's moving in to take it. So,
Right.
and I would say that that would be our best defensive strategy against the aliens. That and the best way to do that scorched earth is unfortunately launch the nukes. You know, not nuke the aliens, but nuke us.
Right.
That'd be the fastest way to scorch the earth. So that's why part of me kind of hopes and prays that these aliens are not really here.
Yeah.
Because I see that as the possibility of how humans would react.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we are coming up on
Yeah,
segment and here.
that we are. So we will be back at the top of the hour.
Roger.
We are back. So, yeah, we kind of been talking about, our Fey aliens and how we don't think so, but I mean, I'm not gonna discredit you guys on that. Also been talking about how, you know, we all know that the government's probably hiding stuff from us that we already know, but they won't just outright tell us, which is very weird, but and how they also kind of throw out the word aliens to distract us from things that they do. But beyond that, I mean, as far as like we've been mainly debating, because me and Aaron have different views on whether aliens are here on Earth, and I think that's like our
Right back.
biggest disagreement that we have. But I wouldn't say that, we don't dispute the fact that they've been here before.
Right.
Um, but it's just the fact that he believes that they're still here. I don't believe that they're still here. So with that being said, hold up here. We're getting a phone call that I am going to be ignoring. But yeah, I don't believe that they're still here, and if they are still here, then I feel like we should be worried.
On the other end, I feel like caution should be taken into consideration, but not necessarily worried at the moment. Uh, for the time being, because if they were going to do something violent, they would have done something violent by now, right?
I don't believe so. I still believe
What?
they'd be scouting us out.
I mean, with the technology they have, I don't think what we have is really a worry to them, personally. Um, I feel like if they only deploy ground forces, I think we'd be easily overwhelmed.
Um, I don't think so either.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And
What?
here's why.
What?
Um,
Uh-huh.
if it would depend on where their technology went, right? Um, if they're
Right.
developing things to, travel through space, or are they building things for defense, right? If they're building things for defense, then yeah, absolutely, I think they'd smash us, right? But here's the big question on that, right? And it's probably the same issue that we have here on Earth, right? Is we have to have that fine balance between, do we fund science and innovation, or do we fund our defense budget, right? Or like, which one do we
Hmm.
finance, right?
Well,
Uh,
a species that is capable of interplanetary travel, let alone galaxy travel, I think they'd already have weapons that are way beyond us at that point. Um, the main issue is obviously there's billions of people on the planet, so it's a lot of people they would have to contend with in that sense.
I mean, well, we're,
Um,
we're technically, I mean, we're interstellar species at this point. We went to the moon. We've made our satellites go out further than our galaxy, like our solar system. Um, so I
Not
mean,
with
and
people,
and we're not putting weapons on our stuff though, but it's because we don't know. Like our weapons, I mean, would just be kind of pointless to put on that stuff in space if we don't know if anything's out there.
right? But if they know that we're here and they can travel here, I'm pretty sure they would. There'd be some semblance of them telling home, potentially of what we are
Hmm.
capable of, right?
Right. And then the other thing to question
So,
is this like, are they like us? Do they have nations, or are they a unified world? You know what I mean? Maybe they're at war with themselves.
it could be. Well, they might not. I mean, we're an incredibly violent species. They might not be.
Hmm.
We don't know. There could be some that are out there that are violent, some that aren't. There could be some that are very peaceful.
And as
For
sad
all
as
you
it
know.
is too, I mean, look, the death of one human is already a tragedy, right? But
Right.
I'm also one of those advocates that say that war is a necessity for an evolving society, right? I mean, think about it. All of our wars have brought about the best innovations in technology. We
Right.
wouldn't have the medicines we have today if it wasn't for World War II and the experiments that the Nazis did on the Jewish.
Right.
We wouldn't have the automobiles that we have without the warfare that brought about the different kinds of like tracked vehicles such as like tanks and half tracks and all that kind of stuff that came about. We wouldn't have like the tractors that we do have today without that. We wouldn't have planes. We wouldn't have just all these different things, right? A lot of this stuff was developed for warfare or defense budget money.
Right.
So warfare is an integral part to our society for development.
I can see where you're coming from there.
Hmm.
Honestly, though, I think it'd be a lot better if we would like, okay, well, I've created this that can do this, and then somebody's trying to create
But
something that can counter that without needing
yeah,
to go to war would
so
definitely be something that
that's ideal society, but
could also be another way.
that's not human nature though. For human nature, if we all got along and we're all singing kumbaya with each other in a world peace situation, there'd be very little innovation in the world. People would just not
I
be.
mean,
I
we
don't think.
could have it. We could have innovation without
Yeah,
having to
we
necessarily
would
go to
have
war.
maybe a few people that would think freely of that, but the majority of people would be like, well, what's the point in developing that technology? There's no point in it.
Well, if we plan to go interstellar wise, say we want to
Hmm.
get to a point where we do go to other worlds and whatnot, and we come across
Well,
something violent that could
the
cause us harm.
the thing is that in today's world, what would be the purpose? When there's no purpose in risking that if what we have already here on Earth is sustainable. And
Right. But
that's how the elites are gonna think, right? And it's up to us commoners to convince them otherwise, and that we all see how that goes in today's world.
well, they don't listen to us. Honestly, I reckon a lot of wars wouldn't happen if it weren't for the elites.
Right,
Personally,
right. But we're
at
always
the, at
gonna
the end
have
of
them. That's my theory of that's why wars are not good, but they are. They're good for innovation.
mm,
They inspire people to build better, bigger, and better, and to push the bounds of what we thought was possible.
right,
Because the goal of every war, right? Once they start, it's always for some sort of purpose, but the end result is always the goal of ending it, right? And how do
right,
we end it? By building the bigger and better technology.
right. But at the end of the day, it's not them that is essentially losing out, though. It's our lives that are spending for this.
Right. But I mean, and again, for my feeble little human brain, I imagine the aliens would be no different. I don't, there's no evidence to suggest that they would be different. Just as there's no evidence
Mm,
that suggests that they are, you know, that they are and that they're not different. So it's not either or.
yeah.
But until I see proof that they are different, I'm going to suggest that they have the same kind of mentality that we do, as far as
maybe,
coming to a planet.
maybe not. I
Yeah,
mean,
and that's just my belief on that. But
yeah, it can go both ways. I mean, if they are violent, I'm pretty sure they would have done something by now. I'm a firm believer in that. If they are definitely looking for a violent purpose, the amount of time they've had with the technology they'd have, I bet they would have sent something far beyond our comprehension in terms of technology that we would have no choice but to either surrender or we know we're going to be fucked. Sorry, excuse my language. Sorry, we're going to be
but
screwed. Sorry. Uh,
and I see that's where I disagree again, because in the grand scheme of the society, or like when going to like different planets and stuff, right? Um, for colonization type things, right? The Earth has only been around for so long, and humanity's only been around for even less time. And
Right.
For aliens to have come out this far, um, they'd still be within those scouting stages where they're checking us out, they're seeing what we're capable of, and from that map that we saw, they're definitely scouting nuclear sites, and I think that's because they know that can do some damage to them. And I'm sure they're
Well,
probably reporting that back, saying, "Hey, they got these big bombs that can blow us up."
yeah, but where are we at right now? Let's look at our technology. Nuclear is our most devastating weapon. We potentially have to unleash. We could just about get a drone to another planet. We can get a rocket up to Mars. So if we already have that technology now, think about the aliens' point of view.
I would
What
say,
they might
I would
have
say
with the
our
ability to travel interstellar.
yeah.
If they can travel interstellar between planets without too much issue, be able to make these crafts that can travel across galaxies, for example. Goodness knows how fast they could travel. They'd have to be able to go extremely fast to be able to do this. Their weapons are probably advanced compared to ours on a scale that we can't believe. That's where I'm going with that. Because if we
Yeah.
have currently this level with what we have, what they would have,
Well,
regardless of whether you want to say, oh, well, they might not have invested so
space
much in
travel
defense, they would
versus
probably be
weapon
much further.
space travel versus weapon development don't go hand in hand though.
No,
And
but
that's kind of where I stand on that because
we've
our
got space
weapons.
travel now,
Think
and
about
all these
when we
weapons.
first when we were first able to do space travel and we first got our first person up in space and compare our weapons that we had, right? Compared to today's world, they're really not that much more advanced.
I mean, I don't know, being
Our
able
now
to do something that could.
our space flight travel and where we can travel to and what we're capable of out in space now has significantly advanced compared to our weaponry has.
See, we have to talk about the nuclear bombs, and we talk about the bombs as in, like, that were dropped in Hiroshima and all that kind of stuff. We now have subatomic bombs that can essentially um, destroy things on a molecular level. That's far more advanced than our explosion nukes that we used to be able to do. And we have that technology now.
We don't use them though.
We don't use them, but what would
I
they
mean,
have?
so and then okay, I'll say for the off-topic hour about the nukes and stuff because I got some
Hmm,
stuff to say about them. But um,
great.
yeah, as far as aliens though, I don't agree with your theory as far as they would have far superior weapons just because they have far superior space flight. Because that's like saying um, I could travel to Mars, but I'm eating a grain of rice a day kind of thing. It's like they maybe they didn't develop in weapons like they did with spaceflight, but they might still have weapons, but just not as developed.
I don't know.
They could still be using bow and arrow type stuff, they're equivalent to
I
it,
highly doubt
but
it.
flying in space, because that's just the direction that they progress through, You gotta think of it like a tech tree, which path are you taking?
Right, but
Yeah.
that where we kind of oversimplified that to a degree. Like, oh, we're just going all the way to space flight. If knock everything else off the ladder, and just say, oh, we're
Yeah.
not caring about it.
I
I feel
mean,
like that's
there
a bit
there
of
there's countries that
a
are like that though. I mean, look at North Korea. They're a good example for this, where they were like, "Hey, screw the welfare of our people. We're just gonna go straight for nuclear weapons." You know, and they're still like that to this day. They're developing better and bigger nukes now compared to
yeah. But
helping
how
their
much time
people.
has passed since they started creating nukes?
About 60 years.
Right.
No,
If these
no
aliens have
longer.
been around even longer and been able to accomplish this technology, we might not be the first civilization they stumbled across. There could be other
Right,
civilizations
right, right. Yep.
that they've
One thing I
also
will
come
say
across.
though,
They could have things of their own.
if they did come here, I would say that they're a temperate species, meaning like they need temperate planets like we have. Because if not,
Right.
then what would our planet hold any purpose to them for?
Well, we don't. Like I said, we don't know what they're here for. For all we know, there could be a War of the Worlds type shtick where our environment is hostile to them. They might not be able to sustain themselves on our
Mm,
planet, and therefore needing
yeah.
human DNA
That's true. Yeah,
genomes and things to counteract that.
possibly. Yeah.
I mean, if someone can grow another animal in a test tube and get a clone, the sheep, for example, if someone can literally do that, people also get their cats cloned, their dogs cloned. There are places that do that in certain countries that you can actually get this done. If we can grow somebody that quickly, imagine what we could do once we had the technology to gene splice and go into a DNA genome and apply things to it and be able to apply that to them as well. There's, I believe, there's a certain company that actually makes your dogs being able to glow in the dark. Cats and dogs with the ability to have a genome added to a DNA sequence that gives them a better brightness in the dark. I think it was cats that I
That's
remember the
solid.
story a few years ago that
That's something I'd like to talk
looked at.
about.
So they could potentially just take a human and just go, we want this from this DNA sequence, we'd study it, we're going to create a new alien species with this DNA in it. And it probably wouldn't take them that
So
long, it'd probably take them a year or two.
let me pose this question then, because we talked about AI on another episode. Do you consider AI to be alien? Because it's technically not like technically. I mean, yeah,
But
I guess it's
I
from this
consider that
planet,
a
but
human. What is an alien? Let's talk about the definition of an alien. An alien is something that's not from here.
right,
That's the true definition of an alien.
and AI kind of
So
fits
technically,
that criteria, but doesn't fit that criteria at the same time.
right. Um, so aliens actually an incorrect term that we use for extraterrestrials. Honestly, but it's the one we've mostly adapted to them. AI is human made, man made. So I
Right.
consider it technology rather than necessarily alien in that regard, personally. Um, but the AI thing is still an interesting topic to talk about because let's talk about aliens for a minute. If we're dabbling with AI right now, right? Um, what AI could the aliens possibly have? What could their AI potentially do? Do they have AI? Did they choose not to go into it because of the dangers of it? There's so many questions around that. Um, but, could be could
And
they
see,
have aliens that are actually
look,
completely machine?
one thing I love about our discussion with this, even though we have disagreements on this topic in some
Mm,
aspects, right, is the fact that we're
yeah,
asking these hard questions that we all want to know the answers
right.
to, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
because we're asking these questions, right, this is why I struggle with believing if aliens are real or not here, or at least on this planet, right? Is all these
right,
people who say they have these sightings of them, they're so simplistic. They're very simplistic versions of things, right? Now they could just be
right,
paraphrasing about what they saw, right? But
right.
oh, it was a gray and he was standing in the road and he took me up on the mothership and I was abducted and they probed me and they did this and it's the same stories over and over and over and over and over again. But it's
Right.
like, okay, well, you experienced this, but what else happened? What did you see? What did you smell? What did you hear? What did you taste? Tell me, get details. And
Yeah,
very, very minimal people are detailed. Now, whether it's because of
yeah.
PTSD from it or what have you, but I don't know. Um, but I want to know
Well,
these things, and it's like, you had this experience, right? Traumatic or not, right? Because I have PTSD from the military, right? But like, I'll talk about those experiences and I'll go into depth, right? I'll relive
right.
it to let someone know these stories because it's important to share that knowledge, you know? Um,
Well, a lot of these people claim to, well, I don't know how often this, but apparently be under some form of anesthesia or some anesthetized sort of state during these processes. It's not like he's just sat there banging this alien and
right.
just going at her. You know what I mean? Supposedly they are in some kind of trance-like state to some degree, whether they're anesthetized or something like that. I don't really know because obviously I've never been through it myself. We do have drugs currently on Earth. There's a powder. It's quite a dangerous one. You can potentially blow inside of someone's face, and they will do everything you want. As long as they're under the influence, you give them an order, they'll do it, and they don't remember a thing
Hmm.
from it. So uh, my biggest argument to maybe something not having that is potentially being an exercise on some form of drug or some kind of basis of some kind from I don't know what the hell they could be using. Like, let's be honest, I can't comprehend what
Yeah.
drugs they or psychedelics they could have on their
Now, look,
planet. So
one thing I
if they
want to
even
throw
have
out there:
them,
if you guys have
but
UFOs, and if anyone's watching, right, the emails on our homepage, right, both YouTube and Twitch, all right. It's also on Discord now. Um, if you have a story about a UFO encounter or alien encounter that you had, and you feel like sharing it, you can keep yourself anonymous. That's fine, right? Email
right,
us it. Let us know.
yep,
I'm just interested
yeah,
in reading this stuff, and learning about this.
right,
And if you don't want us to share it, let us know that too, so that way we don't share your story, right? If you don't tell us, don't share it, but you don't tell us to share it, we're still not going to share it, right? Only unless you tell us to, then we will.
yeah.
But
I mean, also supposedly a lot of these people aren't actually consenting to this breeding. Supposedly, according to many of the stories, that they, in a way, being forced.
right,
Um,
there was a story, not too long ago. I want to say it was like early 2000s. There's a government whistleblower talking about the aliens and saying how the government struck a deal with the aliens.
right,
Basically because I guess they were abducting a lot of people or something like that, and the deal was like they were allowed to abduct so many every year, in exchange that they would give us their technologies.
right.
Now, whether or not all that's true, it sounds like a load of crap. But then again, it doesn't because abductions have been a lot lower lately,
Oh yeah, these have definitely dropped down. There's not
and
as
our
many
technology
abduction
has
stories
been
anymore.
increasing.
Yeah, could be, potentially. Um, I mean, I can't possibly. I mean, I might even be able to comprehend it. They could be looking for genes or specific DNA in some people. They may have other abilities to sense certain things. We know animals can tell if you're sick or dying or you got a disease. Animals can smell it. We don't know what aliens are capable of. They could have an ability like that. They could have scanners on their craft or something. That's why specific people are chosen. Who knows?
Right.
But I do find it interesting that there was a lot of abduction stories, and now you rarely hear about them anymore. So it could be that there's been a deal made potentially. Um, Supposedly, Men in Black who blackmailed people. There's a lot of stories on Men in Black. I'd like to go into a topic on that at some point, like addressing them specifically. As well as these Men in Black blackmail people, threaten them. Many of them have been said to not be human themselves. Um, so it could be there is a liaison between humans and these creatures, aliens, as you were, and deals have been made. Who knows? But to what purpose? We can't really say. Um, there's just so much missing information. That's the problem with this, with these kind of abduction stories that we hear when it comes to aliens. Is there's not really any info. The people that do speak out as whistleblowers supposedly, have all this information to share, and supposedly they get threatened and told to be quiet. But we don't have the opposite side of the spectrum where it's like, well, what resulted of this? Why did they do it? Why was this alien looking to possibly mate with somebody or take something from them, skin graft or whatever they've supposedly done? What's the purpose? We don't
Mm,
have that information side of things. It's
right.
always this happened to me, this female looking alien, climbed on top of me and whatnot. I couldn't move my body, and this happened and this happened. but we never get the
Yeah.
reasons
The
for it.
the big thing too is like there's always different types of aliens too. They say it's
Right,
they're very rarely the same sorts.
right. That sort of thing. Uh, See, are these aliens like part of some global? Well, not really global, I guess. Some kind of planetary. Uh, I can't remember what it's called. Imagine like a council kind of thing, an interstellar council. Are they all aligned with each other? Are they against each other? Uh, um, do they work hand in hand? Like, could these aliens interact with each other and be coercing or um, conversing with them while there's many different kinds working together, or are they actually against each other?
Right.
But again, we never
Well,
really seen any
there's a lot of
fight going
people.
on.
Yeah, there's
So,
supposedly, according to some people out there, there's like this intergalactic war going on between these good aliens and these bad aliens, and they're, I guess, so this is what's far fetched to me, but I mean, some believe it, and
mm,
that there's some intergalactic war between good aliens and bad aliens, and that Earth is the battleground. I'm sorry, but I haven't seen no fighting here between interstellar beings.
no, I'm not seeing lasers
And
flying through the sky or
yeah,
explosions.
supposedly the good aliens are fighting over our planet beyond what we can see, which I think is absolute malarkey
Oh yeah,
because our International Space Station hasn't seen anything. Our Hubble telescope hasn't seen anything. Like, yeah,
the public hasn't seen anything.
right,
I mean, if we're gonna go with this,
and
so
they're
the
battling
aliens are
for
fighting each other.
yeah, and the good aliens are battling
Yeah,
for us to get us on their side to help to
right.
join them, and I'm like, this sounds like a cult
Yeah,
to me.
this is the issue. If they're supposedly fighting in ways we can't see them and all this kind of stuff, what happens when you damage technology? It stops working. If you're destroying a craft and breaking it to pieces, or whatever it is you're doing to that craft, there's going to be some remnant of it. That technology that's cloaking them or whatever would cease working if it got destroyed.
Yeah.
So I can't really get behind this.
I mean, unless they have some
They're
sort of
fighting them like a
technology
different way, but we
that,
can't see it.
unless they have
Like,
technology that doesn't do that when it gets destroyed, I mean, who knows?
yeah, it just completely evaporates it.
Yeah, who knows? But
But I don't know. I
I
just feel like it'd be invisible weapons that just completely don't show up at all.
yeah, invisible aliens that aren't exactly
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If there is a intergalactic war going on, so to speak, I don't think Earth is the battleground. If there is
No.
one, it's going on elsewhere. If there does happen to be something like that happening, it's not in Earth's atmosphere. Definitely not. It'll be
Hmm.
somewhere else.
Plus,
Um,
I don't think aliens would be using lasers on their ships though,
hmm,
because lasers are very ineffective in space.
right. Well, as far as we know, we could
Yeah.
develop a technology that can make lasers operate fine in space. But again, yeah. I'm just like talking
So,
from a logical point of view.
hmm
Like whatever they're using, there'd be some trace of it if they were fighting in Earth's orbit or on Earth. But I'm sorry, there's no way there's an intergalactic war
right.
going on Earth. It's not. Maybe both sides are vying for us to join them potentially. If we want to go with this, like we are part of the battleground to a degree. Maybe it's diplomatic wise. Come join us. These are the
Yeah.
benefits we can give you. This one's like, well, I want you to join us. This is what we can give you. But then it's like, well, why would they want us anyway if our technology can't even hold a
Right.
candle or compete? So again, I'm then going to logically say, yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because if you want to talk about weapons, right? We're probably
Right,
we're our weapons are very very effective in space, right?
right,
So the thing about Earth, right, with gravity, right? When you shoot a bullet, right, it will reach terminal velocity, right, and then
right.
it will start losing its spin and it'll start falling to the ground, right?
Right.
And there'll be an arc, right? That's why
Hmm.
snipers have to account for the curvature of the Earth when they shoot. Again, this is why flat Earth is not
Right.
real.
Yep.
Um, right. You can believe it all you want, but I know a few snipers, so it's not real. Um,
Hmm.
but so anyways, that's what happens here on Earth, right? When you shoot a bullet in space, right? It reaches terminal velocity and it stays at terminal velocity until it impacts on
Right.
something. It's like a meteorite, right? Say Jupiter flung a meteor, right, out of the belt, out of the asteroid belt, right? The gravity
Yeah.
shot it out. It's gonna keep going in that direction until it impacts with something, or until
Right.
another gravitational pull takes it, right? And
Right.
that's what's gonna happen to that bullet, right? It's gonna keep going to either one impacts with something, or two gets hit by gravity from another object and goes down. So that's why our weapons are very, very effective in space, ballistic weapons. Compared
Right.
to the problem with it though is most of our weapons today, especially our rifles and our pistols and stuff, they have blowback systems, right? Which uses gas from the cartridge, right? Those are not as
Right.
effective in space, right? You might be able to get that first round off, but your gun's gonna jam immediately after.
Right.
So we
One
need,
one moment, real quick.
yeah, we would have to develop,
Sorry.
yeah.
I just need to go get something real quick. No one's
Okay.
shouting at me.
All right. I'll just continue on with it while he's gone, but that's why we would need to develop a weapon platform, and I'm assuming if the aliens were technologically advanced enough for that, that they would have something to where they could account for that kind of blowback for space, and they'd probably use ballistics over lasers, and that's why things like Star Wars, Star Trek, all those things that use lasers are not necessarily realistic. Lasers when you shoot them in space, it's a light. Lasers are light.
I'm
But
back.
it only goes as far as, hitting something, and then lasers require a lot of energy, so you
Hmm.
need something with enough energy to actually make it cause damage.
Right.
Compared to a ballistic, where if you could develop a weapon system that could withstand the space around and the pressure and be able to complete its cycle, then
Hmm.
ballistic weapons are going to be way better in space than any kind of laser or plasma cartridge. Plasma cartridges would be the absolute worst because as soon as that thing impacts, you're shooting hot radioactive plasma all over the place.
Right.
And no, I'm not talking about like plasma is different than laser. So plasma is
Hmm.
like it's more like a liquid than it is light.
Yeah.
So and I do know there was a project that the U.S. military is working on with that too, as far as developing weapons like that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they since stopped and released the documents for it all. I'd have to go back and look into it, but yeah. And then we also had Operation Star Wars, which was basically telling the Russians that we had a bunch of lasers in space that we could destroy their nukes from space. Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, you think these alien beings could potentially have crafts like Star Wars, just like ships
Um,
with multiple spacecraft on them,
I
like
think
a
I
like a
think those kind of
mothership to a degree.
I think those kind of ships from Star Wars, a lot of those ships are just very impractical for space flight.
No, I mean in terms of like a ship with like lots of crafts on it. So like our battleships in the ocean that have all these aircraft on them, but like a spaceship wise,
Our aircraft carriers,
alternate.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I definitely think that would be a reality to it.
yeah,
People call that the mothership, but I mean, essentially that's what it is. It's an aircraft or a spacecraft carrier.
right, exactly. Yeah,
Um, but the thing is, for a ship of a size that would be able to carry that kind of spacecraft, you would have to build that thing in space, unless you had like a planet that was just no, yeah, it would just have to be built in space, period. Because any kind of planet, I mean, to get that thing off the ground, you just need so much. energy, kinetic energy, to get that thing out into space. It'd just be
Right.
way easier, and I think any alien civilization would probably have the same difficulties that we would have with that. Because planets are just, any
But
planet,
even they could have.
every planet that we've ever
Uh,
been able to, get data on, everything has gravity, so you're not going to overcome that.
but do you think they could have something like these star stations that you see in like Starfield, for example,
Yeah,
places where they can build
yeah,
ships in space?
it'd be something like that,
Hmm.
and they'd be able to build a ship out in space from that. I mean,
I think the biggest issue would be trying to get materials up there.
Yeah, even Star Wars had that right. They had star yards out in space that built these giant like
Yeah,
star destroyers.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just because to get the ship of that size out into space, next to impossible.
Do you think aliens might be looking to enslave us?
Absolutely.
Then we might be a slave species to them.
Either slave or purge.
Workforce.
I would say either slave or purge. One of the two.
Hmm.
Maybe both. The select few that they need left alive, they'd enslave.
Right. Why do you think they haven't then?
Hmm?
Why do you think they haven't yet?
I still think they're scouting us out and trying to figure out how to get past the weapons that they know that we can hurt them with.
Uh, so, if aliens did come peacefully, like completely peacefully, do you think we as humans would welcome them, or do you think we would actually turn on them?
I think we would welcome them, but the reason why I think also that they're not here peacefully is because they haven't announced themselves to us yet. I think if they were here
Right.
peacefully, they would just straight up announce themselves like, "Hey, we're here, we're friendly, don't hurt us." In some way, shape, or form, they tell us that.
What if they don't trust the government?
I don't think that would have anything to do with it. I mean, if they're coming,
I think
if they're coming all this way from another planet, uh,
I think
yeah.
reasonably it could be actually
I mean, if we're
because
going to another planet and we're not going to go just meet with their governments, we're going to just straight up tell them, "Hey, we're here."
well the thing is like potentially if they are peaceful they might not trust our government because what do? We dissect things, we look at things, we learn how things tick, we look
Yeah.
into all that kind of
But I mean, you got to think to
um
them, the government's just a bunch of other meaty squish bags. They're no different than the rest of
uh,
us.
that can control pretty much the planet.
Yeah, but they're still no different than the rest of us. If they wanted to take them out, they could easily.
uh, I
So
don't know.
I don't think they would be afraid. And that's why I don't think they're here peacefully, because they're just, yeah, they would be able to just announce themselves to us and be like, "Hey, we're here to help, we're here to be peaceful."
Well, what if they're not here to help? They're just here just because they're here.
I mean,
Looking into
that's a
things.
possibility
I
too. I
mean,
mean, look,
if
maybe
if if
they're just passerby, you know.
if they're actually abducting humans, obviously many humans are going to have an issue with that and going to be like, okay, they're abducting humans. Many people are going to have an issue with this. So maybe the reason why they don't necessarily do it because they're worried about the backlash. If they did come here peacefully, what if they're worried about other people not having peaceful intentions? Because there are people that don't have peaceful intentions. Let's be honest. They might fear death like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, most living things have a desire to survive. It's kind of code wired and hardwired into our DNA, right?
I think they're here to find El
Um,
Dorado, the same as the rest of us.
in regards to
Oh, they want the gold.
City of Gold,
Yep, yep, yep. They just want the gold.
why?
Because everyone wants gold.
I mean, I don't want gold. I don't really care for gold.
I do. It's precious money.
Yeah, I'm not really too fussed about money personally. But I just want to live comfortably. That's it. But anyway, not getting off topic. Like we did last time when we were talking about stuff. Necessarily, I feel like they might just be passing by, seeing what's what.
I
Maybe
mean,
they don't want to announce themselves
yeah,
to us just yet. They want to.
yeah. I mean, like everything we said, it's both sides. It's all speculation. We have no idea.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's all speculation.
Yeah, we have
But
no idea.
I feel like they. I feel like they'd have more of a motive behind it if they were here for hostile reasons. There'd be a lot more action
Right.
necessarily. I mean, uh, when you're trying to like assimilate a civilization, let's say for example, you want to make sure they can't get away necessarily, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure there's no possible means of those people escaping, because if you let them escape, one day it's going to come back to bite you in the backside because you killed my father or mother or whatever, so to speak, right? Generally when people want to take out another civilization and take what they have, they want to make sure they have nowhere to go. I feel like there'd be a lot more scouts if they were intending a hostile takeover to keep eye on us in different places.
I mean, they do though.
Because
That's the thing. There's a ton of sightings all over the place.
right, but I feel like it'd be very easy for them to mobilize to here. They have this technology. I feel like it'd be quite easy for them to mobilize if they can travel that far and that fast. I don't think it'd take them that long to mobilize.
I mean, then again, we're also that's speculating that they can get here quickly. Maybe they're taking thousands of years to travel all the way out here.
Right.
Yeah,
I
maybe
just don't see that.
yeah,
I just
they could live way longer than us, and 1,000 years to them is like a day.
well, what the problem is, there'd be no point spending the resources for thousands of years. And how would they keep those resources fueled up for thousands of years? But if we take a look at the crafts that we've seen, right? So these crafts that we supposedly seen, they aren't that big. Let's be honest, they're not that big. Um, so there's no feasible way they could have thousands of years worth of supplies on that craft.
I mean, we don't know.
You see where
Maybe they don't eat.
maybe they don't eat. You think they survive off?
Who knows? Yeah, maybe
I don't
they
know.
don't need that kind of stuff. Maybe they don't need food and water or sunlight or anything. They live.
They just live.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty boring if you just live for the sake of living.
Yeah. Could be though.
How could you entertain yourself for thousands of years? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're getting at, but I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
we don't know. Uh, These
yeah,
things
yeah.
are beyond our
True. We
understanding.
don't. Right.
You
I
know,
mean,
I mean,
yeah,
humans
I
in
don't know.
general, we're very fragile. So maybe these things are built like stone. They're way more durable.
Maybe. But if there are no weapons, they can't be that durable.
Yeah, maybe they shatter from that stuff. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm just imagining big stone statues moving around the ship.
I mean,
The
maybe
angels of
that.
Doctor Who, you
Uh,
know.
Again, there's so much
Uh,
that's just unknown by this.
yeah. I mean, I don't know.
And here's the thing with these alien crafts. Supposedly, no one ever talks about the weaponry. No one ever does. So we don't know what kind of weapons these things would even have.
Right. No, that's the thing. We never seen. There's never been a story of alien weaponry being used. That's one thing that I will say. I don't think I've ever heard a story of alien weaponry being used. There's no war stories from soldiers or anything like that saying, "Oh yeah, this UFO showed up and shot me out the sky."
Yeah. But there's been
Or
stories of telekinesis from them, so I mean that's a weapon in itself.
technically, yeah. Well, No, I've not heard about any like offensive weaponry for damage control. Dealing
All
damage
right.
is what I'm kind of getting at. I've never heard of anything like that. So the thing is, why? I think that's because they don't really see it as much of a threat. They've not needed to feel like they need to employ weaponry. I mean, if you're in a state of fear and you have a weapon, you're more inclined to use that weapon, are you not?
If someone's untrained, yeah.
Right. I don't think they fear us that much because they've never used a weapon on us. Either that,
Yeah.
or there's some kind of law in place with their people, maybe, or they just don't have weapons at all
Yeah. Maybe it's
on their
just the
crafts.
American in me, but I feel like, the one who wields the bigger stick is the winner.
Eh, I don't know. So
And
I don't think these crafts actually have weapons. They never use them, or they don't fear us.
I
One of
mean,
the two.
they may not have weapons, but they definitely have defensive capabilities that we've seen.
Oh yeah,
Whether it's cloaking or speed or light or whatever it might be, but they have different types of capabilities to get away.
yeah. I mean, we never really hear about us firing on them either,
Oh, we've done that.
have we?
Battle of Los Angeles, World War II.
I'll have to look into that one. I don't
Yep.
think I've heard that one.
There was unidentified aircraft in the sky. We started shooting at them. We thought it was the Japanese. Turns out it wasn't the Japanese.
Hmm.
We still to this day do not know what they were, and we were lighting them up with anti-aircraft guns.
Did it work?
We didn't get one.
Yeah, they probably don't fear us. If they didn't retaliate, means they either don't have weapons or, well, no, worries it's just get out of the way.
All right.
Just that more reinforces it for me personally because, like, if someone's shooting at you, you're likely to defend yourself. If
Yeah.
if you know you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna defend yourself in some way, or you're gonna flee.
So it
One of
was
the two.
Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, is the name given to the contemporary sources to a rumored attack on the continental United States by the Imperial Japanese, and the subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage, which took place from the late 24 February to early 25 February 1942 over Los Angeles, California. The incident occurred less than 3 months after the U.S. entered World War II in response to the Imperial Japanese Navy's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, and one day after the bombardment of Elwood near Santa Barbara on the 23rd of February. Initially, the targets of the aerial barrage was thought to be an attack force from the Japanese, but speaking at a press conference shortly afterwards, Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox called the purported attack a false alarm. Newspapers of the time published a number of reports and speculations of a cover up to conceal an actual invasion by enemy airplanes.
Hmm.
So yeah, everybody thought it was the Japanese that were attacked, but it was actually, well, we don't know what it was. 5 civilians died though from this during this time.
Right.
3 died in car accidents and 2 died from heart attacks.
Hmm.
But yep. So
Interesting.
this is for people to determine on their own. Was it aliens or was that the Japanese attacking us? We do not know to this day. The Japanese swear up and down that they did not attack us in Los Angeles. However, there's also no military records, and we don't know if there was just no military records or if they were destroyed because Japan started destroying military records towards the end of the war.
Hmm. Interested. I mean, could have been a craft. Experimental craft maybe, But
Yeah. But
no,
we
I
are
don't
at
know.
top
I
of
don't
the
know
hour,
what to
or
believe on that
here,
one.
or 10 to the
Right,
hour. So we'll go ahead and take a break and back for
yeah,
the last segment.
right.
Welcome back to the Phenomenon podcast. We are entering
Hello.
our final segment here.
Off topic hour.
That was like the perfect transition. You don't even know. Like as soon as you said that, I switched over the screen. That was beautiful. Well orchestrated.
Oh,
No, no,
brilliant.
no, no. That was completely orchestrated. All right, that was
Yeah,
planned from the
it's
start.
totally legit.
Totally legit.
Meant to do that, yeah.
So, I do want to read off a little tidbit here, about that, Battle of LA, right? Uh,
No.
so this is, kind of like the aftermath of like what happened, right? I'm not gonna read the whole thing,
Right.
but I'll read the little intro or beginning to the end of this thing here. After the war ended in 1945, the Japanese government declared that they had flown no airplanes over Los Angeles during the war. In 1983, the U.S. Office of the Air Force History concluded that an analysis of the evidence points to meteorological balloons as a cause of the initial alarm.
Hmm.
So again, they're going with the whole it's a weather balloon claim. And that was in 1983 they claimed that. That's what happened in
Right.
1942. Same thing that happened
Yeah.
in Roswell. It's a weather balloon. Hmm. Yeah, sure it was. So I just wanted to go over that. One thing I wanted to talk about, we were talking about nukes earlier too. Just because we're already in the off-topic hour of the show.
Right.
So the nukes, right? Talking about different types of nukes and how much more powerful they've become and things of that sort. Well, the Russians actually use different nukes than what we use, right?
Yeah.
They're the same, as far as like they're just as destructive as ours, if not more destructive in some cases, right? The most destructive nukes that we've ever made were hydrogen bombs, which was splitting hydrogen atoms, right?
Right.
So those are the most destructive ones we've ever created. And that's when you got these things that are like, oh, it's 10 times the size of the bomb of Hiroshima and 100 times the bomb of Hiroshima, and those are hydrogen bombs, right? The nukes that we have today are
Right.
not. I mean, yes, they're more powerful than what we used at Hiroshima, but they're not that much more powerful, right? They're like three to
Right.
five times more powerful, right? Um, and they're also, well, at least for the United States, I can't speak for Russia's, but for us at least, ours are way more accurate than what they were back then too. And we don't have to fly them by plane, right? Same thing with Russia, they don't have to fly them by plane either, but it's
Right.
debated about how accurate theirs are. And the accuracy doesn't come from the nuke, it comes from the missile, right? And the technology and the missile. We currently field the Minuteman III for the United States, and the Minuteman III have been upgraded and updated over the years to maintain it. But we still use the same warheads essentially that we built all the way back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But the major difference between United States nukes or UK nukes or French nukes versus Russian nukes is Russia doesn't use uranium, right? The United States, France,
Right.
England, all these countries that are Western, we use uranium for our nukes. Russia uses plutonium. So that is a
Hmm.
key difference in what we use. And the biggest reason
Right.
for that is we get all of our uranium from Africa for our nukes, if you guys didn't know that. Russia doesn't have uranium, and back then, Africa wasn't really trading with them to get that uranium. They were trading with the Western countries. So they used their own plutonium deposits and built their own nukes that way.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
well, that wasted 5 minutes. What you got?
What have I got?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. See, these bombs that we do employ, if you know, there's a lot of talks about supposedly War 3 coming along and whatnot, about all this stuff that's going on with all of the news and whatnot. Tensions between Russia, blah 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 blah. I'm not going to get into it. But essentially, these bombs that we do have access to, they obviously are a threat if aliens did come to the planet. Like hands down, they will be effective. The problem is nobody really wins in the scenario of these weapons because while yes, you could wipe out the enemy, you are also wiping out essentially a place of living, right?
All right.
With all the radiation and whatnot. So, whether we would actually use these against aliens in an actual fight, I highly doubt it, unless aliens are like completely taking the city or something along those lines. Completely eradicated everybody in that city and whatnot. Because we do know the army will eventually activate a code. I don't know what code it is specifically, but code red or whatever it is, where they will authorize lethal force, regardless of whether civilians are in the area or not. If it means getting rid of the problem, human civilization casualties will be essentially up for the taking. If it means wiping out this massive threat, essentially. Uh, um,
All right.
but at the same time, well, yes, I could see more likely they probably employ something like carpet bombs or something along those lines when it came to an alien invading force if they took over a city, as opposed to a nuke. I don't think we'd really use those against them because you're going to be destroying the earth that we live on eventually, in the end, right? What's the point in destroying everything? What's the point in winning if you destroyed everything?
All right.
Um, So, but the aliens could potentially fear that weaponry, nuclear weapons and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't think they. I don't know how much they've been studying us and how much they know about us. But I think it'd be smart to suggest that they probably know that we're likely not to use them too, right? Just purely because of the fact that it will destroy most of the planet if we start nuking all these aliens everywhere and all this kind of stuff. So I think aliens would be intelligent enough to know that kind of stuff that we're likely not to employ that sort of weaponry. But our other stuff could definitely be a threat, could take away lives. We don't know how numerous they are, but they might value life a lot more than we do, you know? Um, Twins have a very special connection, as we know, where generally, sometimes you can even have feelings about people that aren't near you. You can sense when something's bad's happened to somebody. Things like, for all we know, it could affect them on a whole different level. These beings could be connected telepathically or some other way. We don't know how loss would affect them and what their reaction would be, whether they care or not care. We have no way of anticipating what could provoke a reaction out of them emotionally wise, if they even have emotions, so to speak. Um, but I feel like they would definitely be intelligent enough to know that we're not going to go all out if against them unless we were literally completely desperate. Um, that's what I believe anyway. If an alien species is that intelligent and they've been able to cross spacecraft that can travel across the stars and all this kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure their intelligence level has to be astronomically high, right? I mean, they might have dumb aliens as well. We have incredibly smart humans and dumb humans. They could have a alien race which essentially acts as drones for them. Sacrificial pawns in their global conquest. We don't really know. So the problem is if we do go to war with aliens, for example, we're in a losing battle. And the reason why I'm going to say we're at a losing battle is because they're off planet. They can keep coming back here and sending things here, but we can't exactly go to them and take them out of the source. You see what I mean?
Right.
So even if they did invade the planet, we still don't win if we defeat them because they're still out there where we can't reach them, and they could easily just keep sending more. Whether that's 50 years from now or 100 years from now, they could just keep sending more, and there'd be nothing we could do about it. Essentially, war of attrition. I mean, we know throughout human history, those tactics have been very emphasized upon, where invading armies would literally wait people out. They'd sit outside of the castles or the forts or whatnot, and they'd wait them out, wait till they were starving, cut off all trade routes, and then eventually, when they're hungry enough, they've got nowhere to go. I know Genghis Khan utilized that tactic quite a bit, waiting people out with armies outside the doorstep and waiting until they were low on resources, starving, and then they'd take over. I feel like it'd honestly be like a war of attrition in that respect.
Hmm.
If we ever did go to war with aliens, I feel like they could easily, possibly, essentially, it's a lot harder to do to us though. It would be a lot harder because we don't require resources from outside of the planet. We have a lot of resources on the planet, but essentially, the issue is we can't stop them from reproducing and sending more to us because we can't get to them. So wherever they're sending these forces from, they will have time to multiply and whatnot. We don't know their numbers, right? We got billions on this planet. Goodness knows how many billions they have. Um, how many different species they could even have.
Right.
If they do have an intergalactic, sort of like council to a degree with all these different alien races, and they could have different worlds all pooling resources together, numbers together, and I don't think there'd be really much we could do about it. I mean, there isn't really, is there? We might be able to fight on our own backyard and whatnot, but essentially, we wouldn't really be able to stop them in that respect. And that's why I have a hard time thinking that essentially they are here for war purposes. Is just mainly because if they are inclined to go to war with us, they can attack us, but we can't do anything back in that respect. We cannot threaten them back. We can threaten the forces here that come onto our planet, but we can't necessarily threaten them. They are essentially safe for the most part, wherever their dwelling is, because we can't reach them. And if they do attack us, I think now would probably want to be one of the best times to a degree. Maybe after wait until tensions die down on the planet between different countries and whatnot. But essentially, before we get more advanced with technology, it'd be better to strike now than wait till we're more advanced and say 50, 100 years from now try and attack us instead, because then we'd have better weaponry, more effective means, etc., right?
Right.
So that's why I don't believe they are purely here for evil intentions. Um, they may have some evil intentions, but I don't think that's their main 100% goal, be all, end all. Um, Scouting us, definitely. Getting information on us, definitely. But I don't think they're here necessarily for a war with us, so to speak. Um,
Yes, they are.
God help us. you know,
I honestly think it would be a slugfest. It really would. I do. I think it would be
it literally would be, yeah.
because I mean, again, you're talking about 8 billion people
Right,
armed for the most part.
yeah.
You know, and from what we know of encounters with people who have had with aliens, these things are, essentially what we know to be fleshy as well, and a bullet can go through it. So, I mean,
Right.
even if, it takes a bunch of rounds for it or whatever, Something that's Swiss cheese, I don't think can move. You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we also have the prospect of forced conscription, right?
Oh yeah, that
Like
definitely happened.
that would definitely happen in that kind of scenario. If we were facing a planetary war against another being from a other planets, and they were here to invade the planet. I'm
And
pretty
then it
sure.
goes back to what I said earlier. It'd probably be a good thing for humanity because imagine what our technology is going to turn into after it.
Right.
It's
What
going to
weapons we
inspire.
could retrieve
Yeah,
from it,
it's going to
and
inspire the minds here on Earth to reverse engineer and develop better weapons to beat their enemy. That's how we survive
right.
as a species.
But yeah, if we were facing that, forced conscription would happen. I reckon they'd try and weaponize every human on the planet because at the end of the day, whether you agree with war or want to fight a war or whatnot, when it comes to like World War III, if that ever happens or whatnot, I don't want no part of it. I don't want to go out and die for some politician out there barking orders. When he's sat nice and cozy in his fancy, place or whatever. Screw that. But if aliens were here, it's not necessarily about fighting for politicians at that point. It's you're fighting for the planet at that point. It's gone to a completely different level of it's either you or them, and forced conscription would happen. They'd probably weaponize every human on the planet. There'd be massive moves to make sure everybody is armed and informed. Because if we're talking about otherworldly beings when we don't know everything they're capable of, what weapons they have, what they could potentially do, we're going to need to throw everything we have at them to potentially stop them, right? And I feel that'd be priority number one. In that case, if I had to defend myself against aliens, then I'm all for it. If I knew that they're going to come over and destroy the planet and take it over or whatnot, or enslave us all, I wouldn't mind so much because we're fighting for the planet at that point. This is our home. This is where we live.
Here's the
And
thing,
that
though.
is
The har-
mm,
the way that the aliens would probably fight as well would
yeah,
be not on the ground.
for the most part, yeah,
Yeah, probably at all. You gotta think, right? We more than likely have weapons that can harm them at this point,
right,
right? Even our rifles, shotguns, pistols, they're gonna harm them, right? If they're made of flesh,
right,
it's gonna harm them.
right,
Any kind of flesh, right? It's gonna harm them.
yeah,
Hell, they could be made of stone and it's gonna harm them. The thing is that why have the unnecessary risk and go into the ground when you already got these superior spacecraft that can zip around our skies and outperform any of our aircraft, right?
right,
So they'll use those, right? They can outrun our missiles even because we have fired missiles at these crafts before too and missed.
right.
So they'd use those things to take us out. They do hit and run tactics, just whittle us down little by little.
Mm,
It would end up being we'd have to get a lucky hit on one, start reverse engineering more, throw it into our technology, and then hopefully score some better wins.
yeah,
Ultimately, I think if it's a alien invasion force versus us, we're gonna come out on top.
right.
Uh, and that just comes down strictly not to our weaponry, but to our human ingenuity.
Do you think that if a alien, civilization did come to war against us, do you think that'll be the time when the Earth finally works in unison for a change? So they're being like, "I'm against you because of whatever."
No,
Do you no?
no,
You think every planet, every country would be kind of out for themselves?
no, no. I, I, I
No.
think I think a lot of countries would unify, especially some old rivals like China and the United States, Russia and the United States, or the West even.
Yeah.
I think we'd all unify and work together to beat these things. But there'd be certain groups, and you know what groups I'm talking about, that would see this as an opportunity to seize their power.
Right. Yeah, I'm talking about the major countries, though. I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
that. Do you
yeah.
think that
The major
it
the
would
major
finally be a time
established
that,
countries, yeah, they would work together.
yeah,
At least for the
because
time being, and then the second that the threat's over, they'd
capitalize on any weaknesses or whatever.
yeah, no, not even that. I think there would be a moment of truce and peace to where they're like, okay, let's work together, get our planetary defenses up, and as soon as those are all up, then it would go back to normal.
Right. Do you not think we'd stay in a state of peace in case they came back?
No,
No.
no, we'd only unify once it does come back.
Hmm.
But countries like North Korea, a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, all these countries would rise up and see this as an opportunity to try and see some sort of power.
Right.
But the rest of them, yeah, we work together.
Yeah. Hmm. I mean, would you want aliens to assimilate? Like on a wide scale, let's say there was a peaceful race that did come to this planet, and they were very peaceful, and they wanted to join society. Would you be happy with them assimilating into the planet with us?
No,
As long as no,
nope.
why not?
Because we already can't support ourselves as human beings. I don't want to have to support some other being from another planet.
Right. I mean, I'd kind of like it to a degree.
I mean, it'd be nice to interact with
Obviously,
them,
in
but
limited number. I'm not talking about like like millions upon millions of them coming here.
I'm sorry, but for me, I'd be a humanity. I'm a humanity first kind of person. Humanity over foreign, aliens. And I'm the same way when it comes to country borders. You know, I'm sorry, but like there's
Right.
a bunch of illegal aliens crossing over the United States border as I speak right now. And as
Oh
much as
yeah.
I care for the people there, the illegal aliens, I don't share sympathy to care for them though because they're coming here illegally. Like I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, Come here to legal process to the legal processes and we'd be more than happy to have you here. And I guess I feel the
Um,
same way as far as like an alien civilization coming here. I don't
that's
necessarily
what.
want them here in the first place because we need to take care of our own people first, as humans, before we can take care of other
Well,
species here. Now, if they're just here to help us out and they're not taken from our resources, then yeah, sure, but that's not how
right. Yeah,
societies
yeah, yeah.
work here on Earth. It's like colonialism. We come here and they give us protection, but we give them resources in exchange, and I know that's exactly what our politicians would do.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
and
I
I'm
mean,
and I'm not for that. No.
so I'm a little bit opposite. As long as it's legally, it's not just them forcing themselves here and just go, oh, you have to take us in. I mean, more so on the sense of like, legal joining, legal conscription to a degree. Like, oh, we want to be part. We'll help out with our
Well,
technology and our culture, and
my
you know,
my views on the term legally have become very loose lately when I've
oh
seen what
yeah,
the government has done and how they keep breaking the
oh yeah,
laws that they
no,
set
no, yeah,
forth.
yeah,
So I don't care about legality anymore at this point. I'm more or less
right.
I'm not saying I'm gonna go break laws, but like to me it's that line there from the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's more guidelines than rules anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I'd like to be able to speak to an alien race and actually have
yeah.
conversations with them, talk about their
Oh
culture,
yeah,
what's
and
life like,
I
and
wouldn't be opposed to that, but I'd be the kind of person to be like, hey, you can come here and visit, but you ain't staying here.
hmm.
Sorry, not sorry, but we gotta take care of our humans first before we can even think about
What about if
doing
we gave
anything
them
with
a
you guys.
certain piece of land somewhere else that wasn't taken necessarily out of our things? Like we gave them a few islands or something out in the ocean, and
Nope, I'm still against it. They're not from
go
this
against
planet.
it.
Yep, they ain't from this planet. Go away.
What if they have technological advancements in medicine and all kinds of things that we can benefit from?
That's cool.
That could,
They could do it from space.
I don't know, because then we're just essentially taking. You basically reverse engineering basically what you said earlier. You don't want them coming in and just taking our resources. In that case, you're just taking their resources, saying, "Oh, well, you have to stay there." You're basically
Yep.
doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you see the dilemma there?
Exactly. And if that's the case, then they can screw off and go to a different world.
Fair enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're the more advanced one. You're coming here. Either give us stuff or screw off.
I don't know. I think it'd be cool to
Yeah.
have it in stellar relations to a degree. The amount of advancements we could
Mm.
possibly gain from it, knowledge.
Maybe I'm too human with that because for me,
Yeah.
humans are naturally greedy, and I'm the same way. I'm sorry, but if there's an advanced species and they want to be here peacefully and coincide with us, nah. But you can give me what you have.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I'm
Yeah.
definitely the opposite there. I'm more so, if you're willing to contribute and, work with us and actually, abide by, the way things work here and,
I
you're
just
willing
don't.
to
I don't
help
think
us
we'd be
out
able
as
to
well.
sustain that. It would kill way more people than it would help.
What do you mean?
I mean, like I said, we can't even sustain our own population of people here on the planet right now. I mean, we could, but we
Well,
don't.
we can, but that's not them. That's the government.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, you don't think with the current governments and the way they are in the world right now that they're not just gonna give all to the aliens and nothing to us? They would. That's just how they act. That's how they behave. They're gonna be like, "Oh, our great overlord saviors are here. Let's give them everything we own."
Hmm. No, I don't think that. I think more so in the sense of like a fair partnership in regards to both sides help each other out. That's more my kind of thing. Like if they were here and there was an agreement maybe between them and the people in charge of those aliens, so to speak, and they signed a treaty together where both sides would share resources and help each other out. Maybe they could give us new ways of growing food, new types of sustainable food, or all kinds of things. Maybe they
Any food around the world has got to be better than what we're getting here in the United States.
right,
I mean,
but essentially,
they literally put poison in our water supply.
oh yeah, they do. That's it. I mean, but yeah, I'd definitely like to be able to meet some aliens and
I mean,
actually
look,
converse with
your
them.
version of it, I would prefer that, but I don't think that's the
Yeah.
reality.
So, but if my version was the case, would you be happy for him?
Not
If my version was
again, I
to
wouldn't
come
be,
to fruition.
I wouldn't want them living here, but I would be happy to have exchange and talks and trade.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, you got your planet, we got our planet. Let's leave it at that. We can visit each other, but you ain't living here.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how I'd feel about that. But
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, it'd be almost like you're traveling to another country. You know, you can travel there, but you ain't living there. There's visas, passports.
Uh, would you be okay with them applying for citizenship?
Not at the beginning.
Not at the beginning, obviously not right away, but
No.
as time progressed,
Yeah.
you'd be more open to potentially, then be like, I'd like to apply for citizenship here.
As we learned more about the greater galaxy and
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
different species of aliens, and yeah.
yeah. It's like you'd have no problem with me becoming a U.S. citizen because you know me
But
and
I also
things
know
like
how
that.
the world's governments work, and they're going to be eager to
Yeah.
jump on that bandwagon right at the very beginning and screw us all over because something bad would happen from that.
Mm.
The aliens would
It
probably.
sounds like government. They're just the ones we need to be rid of, and then it'll be sorted.
Yes, yeah.
you know.
Realistically,
Eh,
I mean, look, the world's governments right
yeah,
now are horrible. All of them.
they are 100%.
They're all horrible. I don't care what country you're from. Your government, my government, everyone's government, they're all corrupt and horrible.
Oh yeah,
And I'm
they
not
only
saying
care
that
about themselves, lining their own
I'm
pockets,
not
and all this shit. They
advocating
don't care about
saying
us.
government itself is horrible. It's a necessity
Yeah.
and we need it. It's just the politicians that we all have in the world right now, they're all corrupt and evil. Not all of them, but
Oh yeah.
the majority of them are corrupt and evil and they need to be kicked to the
Yeah.
curb. And don't
And they
take that
follow
as
the
saying
money
I
trail
want them
rather than
harmed. No, I'm just saying kick them out of
no.
office.
Yeah, obviously. I'm
Yeah.
not advocating,
I just
get
don't
rid of the
want to
government through
misconstrue that with
wrong
anyone because
means.
people sometimes take things and take words and twist them, and
Oh yeah,
don't do that with me. I just want them out of office. That's it.
right. Yeah, yeah. Same.
Resign or kicked out of office,
Right.
and we can replace them with people who actually, care for the people,
Yeah, care about the planet
want
and
to
the people that are on
work
it, and
for the people
actually,
instead of work for themselves and be greedy.
yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah. I could say
I mean,
without a doubt at this point though, I've lost my faith in the governments of the world.
oh yeah, 100%.
I still have faith in humanity. I've just lost faith in the governments.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of good people out there. Well, it's very rare.
I literally just watched a
Um,
video of this woman who was counting change on her car, trying to afford
right.
gas for a vehicle, and this guy
Yeah.
goes around behind her and starts and pays for her gas and starts putting it in as she goes in the store to pay. Comes back out realizing that the guy already paid for her.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just
It's
that right
some
there.
wonderful human. Yeah. There are some wonderful human beings out there, and it's a shame because the way we're brought up now, stranger danger, people don't even want to sit next to somebody they don't know on a bus or anything like that. We're so against people we don't know now that it's rare to find good people who actually care about other people. Everybody's very selfish now in today's age where it's just me, I, self. But there are some actual wonderful, good to honest people out there who actually care for others, take care of other people through just not for anything in return, just selflessness, complete selflessness. So people just go out the way and do things for other people, and those people deserve to be commemorated for doing so because it's a very rare thing in today's age. And honestly, I feel like we need more people with that kind of mindset in office rather than the current governments we have in the world because they don't care about any of us. When they're dictating how much you can live off and how much you should be able to get by off and all this kind of stuff, and they're living with a silver spoon in their mouth. They got like free mansions, free homes, or whatever the frick they've got, with the fancy nice cars, and they're paying for limousines to work and all this kind of stuff. And telling the people that are struggling to get by, working jobs, saying, "Oh, you just need to do better with your money," and all this. Go screw yourself. They don't care about any of us. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just see it as a problem, and rather than trying to create a solution to the problem, it's just what can I do for myself? It's a lot of these politicians that get in power and whatnot. They're always lining their own pockets in some way, making advancements to make them more wealthy and put more things in their side of things rather than caring about the common population and the everyday people that are working hard and trying to get by. Because the one thing every human wants, above all else, is to just live a happy, comfortable life. That's all anybody wants, really. Let's be honest. We all just want to live a happy, comfortable life, a good, happy life. That's all we want. And I know there's a lot of emphasis on material possessions these days. It's been Porsche and all these people that are like, "Oh, I need a new iPhone because it's got a better camera," and all that rubbish. At the end of the day, that's not important. What's important is the quality of life for every human being on this planet. And I think what every good, decent human being wants is for everybody to be able to live happily and peacefully and just enjoy their life. And that should be what is put first and foremost
Yeah.
above all else.
I'm the kind of
But it's
person
just not
that's
by our governments.
you leave me alone, I leave you alone. That's
Right.
my philosophy on life. That's
Yeah.
all I want. Stop butting into my rights and my business, and I will stop talking all this crap about them.
Right.
When you're telling me I can't say certain things or trying to take away my right to bear arms or having the FBI and raid people's homes and kill us, yeah, that's when I'm starting to get annoyed and
Oh, yeah.
starting to look at my government as the enemy.
Right. Exactly. Because at that point, they're being an enemy. They're becoming an enemy of the people. If you kill somebody, you're a bad person. So why are they allowed to do it?
Yep.
That's the way I see it. See, I'm more
When
of
you kill
a
somebody, you're a murderer, but when they kill somebody, it's called politics.
yeah. Right, exactly. I'm more of a realist slash optimist. I'm very
Yeah.
optim.
Don't go killing
I've
people.
got I've got high optimism.
Don't do it.
But I see things what they are. I don't want to live in imagination land. I'm not living in
Yeah.
imagination land
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, everything needs to be hunky dory and sunshine and roses and rainbows and happy go lucky everything. No, I just want
No.
people to be able to just live a happy life and just get by
You know what's funny is
without having to worry.
probably about 8 years ago, I was living a happy life. I was
Yeah,
blissfully unaware and ignorant of how the world worked.
and then he became an adult.
No, I was an adult already then.
Uh,
I just started paying attention.
right. Yeah.
Yep. I just started paying attention, and I realized that it's all rigged.
Oh yeah.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They're having that was that the I know we don't talk about politics on the show very much, but right now that's kind of what this topic hour is about.
It's kind
Um
of become that way in a
yeah.
way to a degree,
They're
but
having that global warming convention there in where was it? UAE or
oh,
something like that, or somewhere over there in the Middle East.
oh yeah, oh
Right.
yeah, and
If you think they're actually talking mainly just about global warming there, you're not paying attention.
oh no,
You know what they're doing is they're having parties. There's been reports of nose candy and lots of nose candy in those kind of events, if you know what I'm talking
oh yeah,
about, and women of the night. I'll put it that way. And
right,
that's what these politicians do over there with your tax dollars. Around leaders of all
right,
over the world, not just here in the United States or the UK, all over the world. Your politicians go out there and they do this stuff, and they mock us.
right,
They mock us to
oh
people
yeah,
saying, "Look how stupid our people are," and they're not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, no,
They're not wrong. Some of you listening are those stupid people. I was one of those stupid
unfortunately,
people until I started paying
yep,
attention.
same here. I mean,
And I'm, and
I'm
I'm not
sorry,
trying to
but
call you stupid on this show, but I'm just saying, like, you need to start paying attention. That's what I'm trying to say. Wake
yeah,
yourselves up, pay attention, look at what they're doing.
right,
And
right,
when you actually start paying attention to the facts and you actually do some digging more than just the first page of Google,
right,
you're going to start seeing the truth for what it is. Don't listen to your mainstream news. Do some digging. Actually figure out
yeah.
what's going on with with your country, wherever
So,
you're from.
yeah.
And
See, one thing that I have a really big thing is right. Is when they're talking about global warming, global warming is supposed to be this big threat.
it's
We
fake.
all have to be worried of global warming, right? And whether it is a threat or not,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if it's such a scary threat and they care so much about it, why are they still flying around on their private jets, which release more emissions into the atmosphere than
Did you
our commercial
know
flights do?
that who was it? It was the King of England, the Prime Minister of England, and someone
Yeah,
else from England. I can't remember who else went
all
over
going
there.
to the same place, and they all took separate
All
private
took
jets.
separate private jets.
And they could have all just taken the same one and gone
Well, no,
together.
no, not
That.
the King though. The King, he gets his own private one. But
Oh
the
yeah,
other
yeah, yeah,
two,
yeah.
the other two there, yeah, they could have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but if they really care so much, they wouldn't be flying around in their private jet that releases all these crazy emissions.
yeah, they're
Because that
telling you to
releases more
stop.
than our commercial flats.
Yeah, yeah, they're over here telling you to make sure you're not farting as much as before.
Yeah,
And you're
and
trying
not
to say
not
that these
using
are
too much
people who
electric
you want to
and
vote for and keep in office? Okay,
right.
okay.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but if it's as big as a threat and they are that worried about it, they do something about it, but they don't. They want us to lose what we have. and us not be allowed things instead.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not about fixing the planet. It's about taking away from us and letting them do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're
So,
not causing all these emissions and all
if you
that, they
want to
don't
know
have to worry
about
about flying around their fancy private jet and whatnot.
if you want to know about global warming, right? Do your homework, right? They talk
Oh
about,
yeah.
20 years from now, 20 years from now, 20 years from now. They've been talking about this. It's, I don't know, at least the 70s, maybe before that. At the
Oh
60s,
yeah.
they were talking about global warming. Oh, the world's
Right.
gonna end by 1980. I'm sorry, what year is it right now?
2023.
Yeah, I think we're a little past 1980.
Yeah. 20 years from now. Okay. We're past 2000 now. 2023.
Now the big
No,
number.
20 years from now. Oh, it's
Yeah.
2020. Oh, we're
You
still
know,
here.
what year they said they want to switch over all this green energy stuff by? And when they started it, they started this in 2020, 2040.
Yeah.
20 years from
2040.
now. That's what, well, not now, but from 2020.
Right.
It's a repetitive pattern. If you're not paying attention to this and you're not shaking your head in agreement with me right now, then you're not awake.
Right. Exactly.
You're a part of their system.
Exactly. And that's what they want. They want to keep you part of their
Yeah.
system.
You need to break out. You need to break out the matrix.
It's like all this recycling, all this plastic stuff. It's a scam.
It is.
It is. It's a full-on scam because literally, it actually
They don't
release
recycle
more emissions recycling the plastic if they do it.
They
release more emissions.
They only take parts of it too.
Right.
They only recycle the
It's a
whole thing.
scam.
They take a small portion
Yep.
of it and then they throw the rest away. There was a documentary I
Right.
watched years ago. I wish I could find this thing. So it was about copper, right? What they do with the copper. So
Right.
basically, the United States, right? When we throw out our ovens, our fridges, our microwaves, or whatever, right? It goes over
Yeah.
to a country in Africa, and this country over there takes these things apart for all this copper. They melt down the copper, right? And then they resell it to the United States.
Right.
That's your recycling. A lot of this is slave labor too, by the way.
Oh yeah. You don't see consumerism, massive issues. People throwing millions of phones, working completely working, no issue with them phones. People throwing them away into trash heaps and all this kind of
This is
stuff,
gonna be
right?
a controversial thing I'm about to say here.
And they keep making more of them and keep selling them to us. Oh, here's a new iPhone,
So-
blah 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 blah. I don't see them telling all these companies to stop doing that because it's causing so
I'm
much
gonna
global
say
warming.
probably the most controversial thing right now on this channel that I will probably ever say. Right?
Mhm.
A lot of African Americans here in the country, blacks, whatever you want to call them,
Right.
whatever. Right? I don't like saying African American because a lot of them aren't even from Africa. But anyways,
Right.
a lot of the blacks in the country, right, want to preach all this stuff about racism. Whites too. It's mainly
Right.
white women that want to preach and say that everybody's racist. But
Yeah.
regardless, right, racism's talked about a lot here in the United States, right?
Mhm.
The politicians found out that you don't have to take blacks from or Africans from Africa anymore and bring them to America. You can keep them there
Right.
and keep them enslaved. And the American politicians, the American elite learned about that and figured that out quickly, and they've been doing it for years, decades.
Right.
There are so many slaves in Africa right now, and they're owned
Oh
by
yeah.
Western society.
Yep. Sorry, but it's true. And
You live off of their profit, or off of their misery. Your profit is their misery.
right.
So while people over here are preaching about racism, they're profiting
Oh, yeah.
off of slavery.
Right. A lot of these clothes that you wear, slavery. These clothes that you wear, these fancy designer clothes and all that stuff that you probably spend hundreds on, slavery.
If you use an
Slavery
iPhone,
made those clothes.
if you use an iPhone,
The iPhone,
slavery.
slavery. Every little thing that you're so happy about, near enough today, that gets made, is done with the cheapest labor possible
And-
through slavery.
I actually own the Samsung too, and if you own Samsung, not necessarily slavery, but child labor.
Yep. But, you don't see people going over to these countries and screaming about it and saying, oh, this is slavery, blah, blah, blah. No, they'll sit here in the US code all of us racists. Even
So,
if you've never been racist to anybody, you're a racist.
and
You know,
and
you got
again,
white privilege.
like
Blah
I've
blah blah
always
blah blah
encouraged
blah.
on this show, if you don't believe me, right? Don't believe me. Do your own research on it.
Research. Yeah.
Research it yourself, because I'm telling you right now, I've looked it up myself,
Yep.
and I'm not just spewing some BS on the air about this right now.
Right.
And that's probably gonna be the most controversial thing you will ever hear me say on this channel. I will never say anything probably. I'm gonna try not to say anything more controversial than what I just said. I'm not gonna
Right.
repeat myself on it.
Yep.
It's just it's a sad reality of life. Do your homework on it.
I mean, if you look at Black Lives Matter, what does it do with the money? Did they refund it into black communities and improve them?
Nope.
Nope. Where did that go?
Their pockets.
They were spending it. They were spending it in their pockets. It was going in their pockets, and they were buying fancy places with them and stuff like that. All that money you were donating to BLM, they were spending it not on the improving black communities and making them better and improving them. They were spending it on fancy luxuries for themselves.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry, you can look into it and research it yourself. But that's what happened with that money. And it's a sad world we live in where, they're able to do that and get away with it. They're not being sued for it, nothing's happened to them for it. They basically just gotten away with it.
Yeah.
No repercussions whatsoever.
It's a reality.
Yep. And I don't know about you, but I'd be very angry about that if I'd given money to a charity of some sort or some organization that was supposed to be for the good of people, and my money was being spent flimsily on stupid luxuries and things rather than fixing the issue that I donated the money for in the first place. That's why I don't trust a lot of charities these days. 'Cause I don't believe all this money is going to these charities that they claim is going to them. I'm sorry, but I don't. You got billions of people on the planet. You got all these advertisements all over TV talking about how this child is starving. They have to walk miles to get their water, and these adverts have been around for I don't even know when they first started doing those adverts, but they were around in my childhood and they're still around today. Where's all that money gone? If you talk about billions of people on the planet and the amount of people that have probably given money to these charities, where's all of it going? And the thing is, a lot of this charity money that goes to these organisations does not go into the hands of the people that need these waters and wells dug out and all this kind of stuff so you can get clean water. A lot of it goes to the rich politicians in the country. And then they spend it on
Well,
what they want to spend it on.
one
It's not going towards the purpose they're
yeah,
supposed to be doing it for.
and one thing I want to throw out there, right? Just because I'm a veteran, right? And I know a lot of veterans right now that are out there probably struggling, right? If
Right,
they may not be able to listen to this podcast, but maybe you are, right? And you know of one that's
right,
homeless or something, right?
right,
Bring them to the nearest VA. Please, for the love of God, just bring them to the nearest VA, right? They have programs there that help house these veterans that are homeless,
right,
right? There are houses out there. They have specific houses, and they clean these veterans up. They get them off drugs, whatever they might be on, and they help them out, right? So
right,
bring them into a local VA, drive them there, guide them there, do whatever you need to do to get them there, right? Because a lot of these
right.
veterans think, it's hopeless, I don't have anything, or the VA is not going to help me. Well, they've changed their policies over the last few years. They will help them,
Yeah,
right? Bring them in, get them cleaned up, change their life around.
yeah.
And that's the last thing I'm going to
I mean,
say on the show about that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a controversy about Mr. Beast, and there's been a lot of controversies on Mr. Beast, where he spends a lot of money and gives away a lot of money and stuff like that. But there was a one point where he built a bunch of wells in Africa, I think it were. Can't quite remember which country it were, but he ended up building a bunch of wells for them. And people argue, the logistics behind it, being like, oh, he's doing it for content and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, he built water systems for these people to have clean water out of his own pocket. Regardless of whether he's doing it for YouTube fame or whatever you want to go with, he's done something to help people, right?
Here's the
That's
thing.
the thing
He
everybody wants to
doesn't do it.
forget.
He doesn't do it for the fame. He's already famous. He's doing it
Right,
because it creates more revenue for him, which allows him to help more people.
right. Well, people were giving him so much shtick over doing this, right? And there was a company which is a charity based organization that supposedly builds wells and whatnot. And he built multiple wells, something that takes them a while to do, right? He did multiple with his money. And that same company was sat there complaining, screaming about Mr. Beast, going, "Oh, well, we've been doing this for years and years, and it takes us a while to get the funds together to be able to do all this." And he just comes along and builds all these wells, and now he's getting all the attention. Like, wouldn't you? I'm just sort of just like, so what do you care about more? The fact that he's helping people, which you're supposed to be doing, or do you care about that he's got more attention out of it? Because at the end of the day, he's helped them. Shouldn't you be happy about that? Isn't your goal the same? Shouldn't you be on the same side? Isn't that, oh, I'm happy you did that. It'd be nice if you reached out to us and we could have worked together on it. You know, but instead, no, he just got his name dragged through the mud and all this kind of stuff over it. People are screaming about it all over YouTube, controversy and all that kind of stuff. It's like, he's helping people. Why are you complaining and trying to make an enemy out of him for it? At the end of the day, he's helping people. He's doing what your government should be doing.
Hmm.
He's you know,
The
and
thing
people are
is
screaming at
that
him about it. I'm
these
just,
people who are
like,
complaining about him literally have nothing better to do with their lives. That's what
oh
it
yeah,
is. They have nothing better to do with their lives. They're so privileged that they literally have to find something to complain about, and that's what they chose.
oh yeah. I mean, you know, I think it's quite commemorable what he did. He didn't have to do that,
But
but he did that.
yep. So we are at the end of the show here.
Yeah.
Uh, so we are gonna head off for the night. We will catch you guys all on December 12th.
Tuesday next week.
Yep, Tuesday, December 12th. Uh,
Yep.
and that will be Aaron's show. So if you guys want to know what kind of topic we're gonna be doing, I suggest either check it on Twitch later on or check on Discord. Um, December 20th will be the following show on that, and we're gonna be doing a show about the origin of Santa.
Okay.
So that's what we'll be doing on the 20th.
That's it.
But yeah, if you want to know what we're gonna be doing on the 12th, check on Twitch or check on Discord later on, and we'll keep you guys updated. Till then, take care, stay safe, help each other out, wear tinfoil hats. Have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. See you later.